we have long kind of dealt with the trifecta, quadfecta, kind of technically, of PlayStation versus Xbox versus PC, and Nintendo's off kind of its doing its own thing, but occasionally gets games we all want to play. What if I told you there was a fifth contender entering the ring?
Ooh, platform wars. I love platform wars.
A new challenger has entered the game?
And it's not Stadia.
Wait, what? I thought we were talking about Stadia. What is it?
It's Tesla's in-dash navigation system.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Woo!
Fucking Elon Musk got Cuphead running on the inboard nav system of a goddamn Tesla.
It's like, okay.
Thank you, base.
Musk really just does stuff because he can. He really does. It's, the car in space has to be the most, classic example, but...
Yeah, after you put a car in space, you put Cuphead in a car. It's pretty simple, yeah.
Yeah, the math works out, yeah.
Thank you, base Elon.
Sure.
So
I may be alone in this, but I actively follow not Elon Musk, but the people doing bizarre bullshit hacks to their computers to install shit like this. I've seen Doom running on a Tesla, I think, at one point. I think I saw this is not new to me because it's just a little screen technically, but I keep waiting for an accident to happen.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's like somehow they had to actually port Unity. Is it using some proprietary OS or something?
I don't know in Tesla's case. I know in some other cases it's Android, so it becomes a process of just porting whatever it is for Android technically, and that's why it's older games where it's like, hey, it's Doom. Doom's simple to port because it's old as shit.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about that Doom. Oh, I thought you were talking about the new one.
New Doom that only runs on Jaguars.
Hey,
but Cuphead, the notoriously super difficult game. I played it actually on my stream once with a friend of mine, and we played it together. And they actually makes the game a little harder. So as I see it, it's in the front dash.
Yeah,
they put video games in the front dash. That just seems like terrible idea.
I'm sure they have it set to if the car's in motion, it disables it or something. It wouldn't surprise me.
Or if it's in motion, it just raises up the difficulty. it turns your wheel. Now the steering wheel controls it.
Yeah. Well, Elon Musk loves doing fun shit like this. I think one of my 4 favorite things that he's done has been. I don't know if you guys saw that, but somebody had mentioned there should be a car mode for dogs. So, when your dog's in the car and you have to run to the store, it turns the AC on super cold so they're okay, and it plays music, and it has a message that says, hey, dog's fine, AC's on, don't break the window. And he's like, that's a good idea, because somebody sent it to him on Twitter, and he's like, you know what, that's a good idea, coming in the next update. And sure enough, the Mad Lad actually fucking did it.
Yeah, that's the thing, it's he's actually, he's an interesting guy in some ways. He will, when people give him, talk to him and, communicate to him a good idea, he runs with it. I've seen him do this a few times, with I think it was the Boring Company that does the kind of earth blocks.
They did the flamethrower, too.
Somebody told him with that, hey, you could use that to make low-cost housing. And he was like, oh, actually, yeah, I guess I could. See, the dude doesn't, he's one of your just classic engineers who just, builds things because it's cool, not because there's actually any use for it. But it seems like if you actually tell him a use for his ideas, he's often oh, yeah, maybe so. So, yeah, so everybody should get out there and, tell Elon Musk things to do. So what would you tell Elon Musk to do? If you could tell him any 1 or 2 things to do, what would you tell Elon Musk to do?
Go fuck himself and put Destiny 2 in a Tesla?
Go fuck yourself, now go put this game I want on there.
Yeah, maybe exactly in that order, too, actually.
He deserves both. He deserves both.
I would say buy or start up your own anime publishing company and start bringing more shit over to the U.S. Because apparently he's big into anime too.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he changed his avatar into something from Fullmetal Alchemist, I believe, one time. Or something.
Whoa.
And people were like, what the fuck? Elon's one of us? Like, Elon Weeb status confirmed. Yeah. So. Yeah. I don't know. I like the guy. So.
Yeah, man. Engineers with money. Amoral engineers. He's pretty much a mad scientist. That's why he can pretty much direct them. So I am afraid that somebody's going to suggest to him something incredibly evil, and he's going to answer the same way, like just be like, "Oh, that seems like a good idea. I think I'll do that."
You're right.
Like,
I want death rays and all Teslas.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're saving the environment, might as well balance it out by, the ability to destroy shit too. Just throw just attach the flamethrowers that he already created to the Teslas.
Right? So just like 20 years from now, if we ever hit this crazy Mad Max post-apocalyptic world, you're going to see Teslas riding around with Elon Musk on the top with a guitar, shredding a flamethrower, and he's got these boring company flamethrowers attached to the sides.
You know what? That flamethrower guy is probably the Tesla of his tribe.
Probably.
Or the Musk, I should say. I mean, Elon Musk of his tribe.
He's fucking Nikolai Tesla being like, "Earthquake machine, bitches!" Hello and welcome to the Wicked Awesome Cast, episode 158, our pre-E3 2019 episode. Or it would be if E3 meant anything, as contained to 1 week and didn't spill out all over the place like some weird leaky sieve. What is a press conference? What is time? Do things make sense anymore? I'm Charlie, aka Bordak, joined by Alex, aka Mave Online. Also with Henry, aka Kraken Zero.
Yay!
Yeah, it's E3 is upon us, but also not.
E3 is now, it's a concept, it's no longer an event. It's an idea. It's an idea that lives in our heads.
To pull a quote from pull a joke from Alex's playbook, are you saying E3 was inside of us all along?
Yeah, the E3 was the E3s we saw along the way.
Yes. E3 was the video games we played this year leading up to this point. And fuck this cycle. Yeah,
This cycle's rough only because we go through dry spells of garbage like in between, so we have to rely on some dev doing something fucking stupid, and then we talk about it. But this time, oh joy, we've got actual good news and things.
We do?
I believe so.
We have news. We can decide whether it's good later.
This fucking podcast is the Schrodinger's cat of video game podcast, where it's like, this is a sealed envelope podcast. We have not watched anything E3 related yet, even though E3 has technically already started, and we'll talk about E3 stuff next week as is tradition. But you have fucking Bungie and Stadia being like, fuck this, we'll do our own thing.
Yeah, no, that was like, you know what, we'll do our own thing. With
hookers and blackjack.
Yeah, pretty much. And it makes me so happy.
Yes.
Because it's such an interesting development. Anyway, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump ahead here.
Yeah, well, what have you two been up to?
Well, I guess I'll start.
Yeah, you've been gone for a while.
Yeah. So, I have returned from the Shadow Realm.
Oh?
I have fought tooth and nail. I got lost an extra week.
It's like you continue to not learn anything about the Shadow Realm, Alex. You don't fight the Shadow Realm, you game.
So I fought the Shadow Realm.
God damn it.
Oh yeah, I guess I had mentioned before I actually went down to visit family in California, and it was a good time. I didn't realize how, trying to fit visiting everybody was really, there was so much time. I didn't realize, how so much time, okay, now here, and so Actually, I lucked out too because I was able to grab breakfast with these two fine gentlemen on the podcast here, which was pretty cool. Yeah. So
I can't remember if we actually talked about this now. We physically were all in the same location for once.
Yeah.
It was nice. So, yeah, it was good times. But yeah, we grabbed some breakfast, and then I was talking about also trying to visit some old food haunts that I wanted to go to, and I had no time for those because if I wasn't hanging out with one group of friends, I was visiting family or visiting Mandy's family and all that. So it was a good time though. But it also reinforced that I'm very, very happy I decided to move up to Oregon. I think in the time we were there, we're just like, maybe it's still because I'm still in this honeymoon phase with Oregon, but I really do like it being away from California. So maybe it's just me and the way I feel about it, but I do enjoy it. Not knocking for those who live there, but it's not my thing anymore, I think. Maybe it's because I was born and raised there. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing. That's a thing. Like, a lot of people, like, they, within their own state or wherever they live, they often, like, will not have seen the things that, like, tourists will have seen. Because they've just kind of known it, but, aren't excited about the city they live in. That's pretty normal.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say an important part of growing up and getting older is, leaving where you left for some people.
Yeah.
Living where you grew up, I guess. Yeah, like it's...
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
To be fair, though, LA, if you're going to stay a place, it's a bad place to stay your entire life, but... Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just, I'm happy. So, I know when we got back, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and just stay locked in my apartment for a few days and not, and not go outside anywhere.
Do the Portland thing, ignore life.
Yes. So, but yeah, got back into the motion of things and whatnot, and it was just nice. Had a good time.
Yeah.
And then, let's see. I uninstalled D2 and then I reinstalled D2.
So I also uninstalled D2 because I uninstalled the Blizzard, the BattleNet launcher.
Oh, did you?
I have no reason to have that thing installed anymore.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. The thing is, I have yet to play Destiny 2, but I as I mentioned on the podcast, I have actually picked it up. I picked it up whenever it was free last year, briefly.
Huh.
I mean, it's free. Yeah. So I have it, and I think I even installed it, but it's all in the. I haven't installed it through the Blizzard app, so.
Yeah, it was after Forsaken had come out a couple months. They gave the base game of Destiny 2 for free.
Yeah, and so I went ahead and added it to my account when I had the chance. Yeah, I take free stuff. I always take free stuff. Whenever I see something online that's like, "Hey, game free," I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take that. I kind of don't care what it is. I'll take it because it's free."
Well, Henry, I have a website that's definitely giving away free things for you to go to. Free viruses, free malware.
Oh yeah, fantastic. I'll take it all.
Those aren't even free because there was a laptop that sold recently that had 4 of the worst spyware viruses ever created. I think it sold for $1.3 million.
Wow.
I love the idea of some guy collecting that shit being like, soon my collection will be complete.
Well, see, I've done stuff like that because when you've ever done any computer security, it's likely that or just, messing around with it, it's likely that you've created a honeypot purposely. Like, I did that, actually. I created a super honeypot with one of the computers that I used to own. And, it was fascinating the way the computer worked before and after.
Oh, I can imagine.
It was like a different computer. It was so messed up. Like, everything was just, like, the browsers were just horribly, like, loaded down with all sorts of crap. It's like, the operating system itself just had weird holes and weird windows and bizarre behavior and random behaviors. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't have sold it for.
Remember
I wish I would have known.
Remember in the coming AI apocalypse, have your flash drive of malware ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah,
well, I have a computer of it, or I had a laptop of it. I did it so that I could practice, like, how to actually clean a computer that was that badly compromised.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, I just got tired of Division 2. And then I think this whole past week with the Destiny stuff that came out, I was on the hype train. So, and I lucked out too, because I remember asking Charlie, hey, should I buy Forsaken? Is it even worth it buying Forsaken at this point? And he's like, well, I mean, if you want to finish the game up, you can. And then a day later, the fucking complete collection of Forsaken goes on sale for $39. So I was like, okay. And I picked it up. Mind you, the complete collection normally costs $100. It went for $39 on the Battle.net thing, so I bought it.
Good reason at that point.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to work my way through the Warmind campaign and then do the Forsaken campaign, just because I want to go through the
just
motions of
jump to
it.
Forsaken. Like, it is worth...
Well, I want to unlock the free mapping.
I was about to correct myself, yeah. Like, you should do the base campaign of Mars and then just go to Forsaken. There are some cool guns on Mars that received heavy nerfs at certain points in time and are now a lot less important to the overall meta. Like, in the days of original Gambit, a gun called I'm blanking on it. It was a fusion rifle. I had one too. Even it was broken. It was one of the most powerful weapons in the game.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm going to look forward to... I actually did play some Destiny 2, and it was actually kind of nice. So...
Cool.
Yeah. Enjoyed that. And the other game I started picking up again and trying out was actually Dauntless, now that it's been released, if you will.
Yeah.
So I'm actually pretty stoked to play it out, because now that it has crossplay, I got it installed on PS4, so Mandy and I could play together and hunt monsters and stuff. So... Which is kind of the biggest draw, and it's free to play. So, yeah.
Let me know when you're playing. I've also been playing the Dauntless.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I will definitely let you know then. The other thing I actually want to try out, because I recently got it, was an invite to the Spellbreak Alpha. I don't know if you guys have heard of Spellbreak.
No.
Spellbreak is a battle royale game, but instead of having guns and all that stuff, you're a wizard and you shoot magic spells.
You're a wizard in a deathmatch, Harry.
Yeah, pretty much. So you can cast, like, freezing spells and fire spells and all sorts of crazy shit, and you're a wizard, but it's a battle royale in, like, this weird, like, LARPy-looking environment. So
100 wizards drop onto an island.
Yes. Island's haunted.
Doesn't
of
work,
course
Alex. It's no moon.
No, I know. But
is the island full of wizards? Yes. Is it haunted? No. Did the wizards come from that island? Probably.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to trying it out. Just because I like battle royales for the most part. But we'll see how this one is. I'm just curious. So. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. I don't have much else other than just me trying to hide from the heat, because it's starting to get warm up here, and it's humid. Fucking A, Charlie, you weren't kidding. Humid heat fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
It was like 80 degrees, and I was like, oh, fuck this. No.
You just think about dying right then and there to get away from it, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got my AC on full blast, all the shades are closed, and I have fans running air throughout the apartment.
It's like, why does the air hate me?
Yeah.
Why is the air sticky and damp, more like?
So, yep. But yeah, that's it for me. Also, I'm glad to be back.
I guess I'll go then. But first, welcome back, Alex. It's good to have you back in all your glory.
Don't worry, I'll make up for the 2 weeks of puns we haven't had.
You don't have to. You really don't, actually. Like, no one would object to you just kind of settling in casually and not making up time. Like, I think it was our gift to you.
Oh, don't worry. I'll make up for it. You're good.
Great. Just great. Alright, so, as threatened last week, like mid-podcast, because I bought the game mid-podcast last week, I played the shit out of Death Garden Blood Harvest, which is already on like the list for most video game for 2019 based
Oh,
on
hell yeah.
dumbass name alone.
Uh-huh.
Really?
The name is Death Garden Blood Harvest, Alex. Like, based on that name alone, it belongs on the most video game list. Like, fuck, I think this thing makes my game of the year list too, potentially. It's so,
Yeah, I bought it too shortly after, like, because I had been thinking about it anyways, that's why I mentioned it to you, but yeah, I have it, I just haven't had a chance to play it yet because, yeah, I still can't play it on my current computer,
Yeah.
that's still a thing, so.
well,
But I'm excited to play it.
yeah, we talked about it some last week. I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail, I guess, because it was kind of more of a holy shit, this game looks cool last week as opposed to deep diving. So if you're familiar with the Dead by Daylight formula, you'll be familiar with this game, except the scavengers are super parkoury and it's nuts.
Yeah, it's such fast action,
Yeah.
like super fast action.
Mm.
It's one of the fastest action sort of competitive games like this I've seen in a while.
Well, the scavengers are locked into run all the time. Like, you have to manually turn that setting off if you want.
Yeah.
Like, they move at full speed at all times, unless you're crouched or rolling or something. And even then, it's fast. Like, I played like 10 hours of that game in a very short period of time because it's awesome. Like, I had a day off this week, so I started playing that game like 8 a.m. in the morning, and then by like 9 p.m. that night, I'm still playing. Going like, shit, this game is amazing.
It's just, I mean, as far as, there again, I haven't played it, but it seems like the parkour part is also very satisfying and pretty easy to pull off.
So let me break it down for those who kind of weren't here, didn't listen last week, or kind of want more details. Like Dead by Daylight, it's you're playing as one of two sides. You're playing as scavengers who work in teams are 5 or 6. I think it's 5, and you are third person, and you don't really have offensive capabilities. You have a bow that's useless against the main enemy because he's or she is straight up immortal. Like they can't be killed, and your goal is to either dodge them for the time limit or run around the map and collect blood and then put that in some statues and stuff. It's very it's very Dead by Daylight. It's the kind of asymmetric multiplayer where you are hunter versus hunted, if you will. Where it differs is, unlike Dead by Daylight, the scavengers are zippy motherfuckers. Like, they are significantly faster than the hunter and have a whole set of movement moves to them. Like, you can scale up walls. Like, a tactic you can pull off that is surprisingly effective against hunters is if they track you when you're depositing blood at a tower, just climb the tower. They very rarely look up. Like, it's possible to rapidly run up the tower and then leap off the top of it because there's no fall damage and get away that way. Like, it's a surprisingly effective move. Like, hell, jumping off a cliff and then running back up is, because hunters have less movement capabilities and they're also first person, is surprisingly effective. Like, your best moves are, like, there's no wall running, but like wall grabs, you hang forever in the best way possible, and you can like jump up walls really quickly. Like, it is possible to like race across the map, which really isn't huge, but also isn't tiny, in like no time at all, just parkouring your way the entire way there, and it's fun. Like, I cannot stress how much fun it is to play a scavenger. Like, we're Dead by Daylight's kind of tense, and it's a horror game. This is a horror action game where I'm not so familiar with Dead by Daylight, but like this one, each character has powers, but you launch the powers via your bow, so it's shields or it's health or stuff, and like you have really cool moments where you'll see someone go down and you have a heal, and you'll like snipe heal them from across the map or something, and then they pop up before they can get executed by the hunter and stuff. It's nuts. So on the opposite side, you have sorry to pause for a sec. There are 6 scavengers to play as, and each one kind of comes with its own base set of abilities, so each one has their own builds to them. But what's cool is the powers are shared. No one has a unique power, but each one has access to a power for the others, whether it be clone, shields, smoke screen, or heal. And each one can be up. Like, so if you upgrade the power on one character, it upgrades the power for all characters. So like for instance, I've been playing the medic one called like Sawbones. She has heal and she has shield. The first character I unlocked for scavengers had heal for their primary ability, so I dumped a shit ton of upgrades into that. So when I unlocked it on Sawbone, the medical one, the cleanest of all the scavengers, ironically, she already had like a super powered up shield ability, and then I powered up the health ability, which then affects the one that like has clone and like weird scavenging abilities. And each one has passives and stuff like Fog, the guy who starts off with Smokescreen, when all his stuff kicks in, is the fastest character in the game, which is nuts because all of them are pretty fast. It's so goddamn cool to play as a scavenger. And then on the other side, you have hunters, and there are 3 hunters right now: the Inquisitor, the Stalker, and the Poacher. And where this game differs in a major way from Dead by Daylight is the Terminator is not a character. It is a skin for the Poacher.
So yeah, like Dead by Daylight, they also have already gone in on the licenses.
Yeah.
And so but it is interesting, yeah, like it's not a new character per se. But it's also way cheaper. Way cheaper. It is cheap like you would expect the skin to be. It's only a couple of bucks.
And I kind of dig that because each hunter has a ridiculous skill tree to go through. Like they have a whole skill tree, and then all of their like they have 2 guns. The guns are upgradable. I believe their special powers upgradable. So, and hunters play first person. It's a first person shooter at that point, and they're slow. They're wearing power armor, and you feel like you are wearing power armor. Down to you have a boost that turns you into a murder train of movement. Like you can leap. Like you become the Hulk briefly, and that's the only way you can keep up with scavengers. They are that much faster than you. But like when you're in a chase with a shotgun and you're hitting that stim and you're just racing after someone, and this like cool techno rock music kicks in of the hunt, you're like, yeah, meat's on the menu tonight, boys. It's cool.
Yeah, just to make it clear, it is 1 hunter versus 5 scavengers.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay.
And all the hunters kind of play the same. They all have kind of a shotgun weapon and a machine gun weapon. You unlock kind of a longer range weapon for all of them. I think only the Stalker has a sniper rifle though, which seems broken as shit in that game, but also makes sense for that character. It's weird. So hunters start off with the Inquisitor and the Poacher unlocked, and you have to unlock the Stalker, who's the stag-headed one. It seems like a weird choice to make your kind of iconic character the unlockable one, but I also get it because if you're going to lose a round to a hunter, it is probably a Stalker because that person fucking knows that character, and good God is that active camo powerful. They just come out of fucking nowhere and murder you.
Ooh, if he has active camo, I expect possibly. I wonder if they'll throw in his skin for the Predator.
Yes, so and kind of like Henry's complaint, I think rightfully so, in the past, it occasionally feels like the developers take time away from developing their own characters to do the franchising stuff, which I totally it feels like a valid complaint because again, every character in Blood and Death Garden is kind of cool. Like even the Poacher, who's kind of lame, is kind of cool in his own weird way. Like he's the hunter that you can see his face because he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll murder people. Who cares? Oh, so that's actually probably worth bringing up too. The story, like the lore for this game is ridiculous. So the scavengers are actually kind of the bad guys.
That's cool.
Yeah. So world goes to shit. These dome city things called enclaves rise, and they're like typical kind of perfect utopia bullshit. And to kind of keep genetics not totally fucked, and because you have to have people coming in constantly, the games are established. I'm sure I'm getting the name for that wrong. And basically, the Death Garden is a test of worthiness to enter the Enclave. And life outside the Enclaves is fucked up with warlords and shit like that. And the hunter's job is through the Death Garden, let only kind of the strongest, most worthy enter the Enclave. And like a big chunk of the scavengers have everything has a bio in this game, and like some of the scavengers are straight up terrorists. They're like, we're gonna fuck up the Enclave, like for the warlords, and the hunters are like, yeah, I do this because it's a sacred duty to the Enclave. Like we have to keep, like it's the Enclave's the only safe places for humans left, and we have to keep this place going because if not, without it, we're fucked. Yeah, we're murdering people. We kind of get off on it, but like we're doing a public service like Garbage Man or Postman.
That's actually really cool. Yeah. I mean, the lore for Dead by Daylight is also really cool and really interesting. Yeah. So it's not surprising, but it's awesome that they went full in on that one too.
And I only bring up the lore because the lore paints this beautiful, like it carries over in absolutely bizarre ways into the game. Like so, the game consists of the Death Garden and 2 lobbies. And I say 2 lobbies because the Hunter lobby looks out into the Enclave and is beautiful and pristine and nicely maintained and doesn't suck. The Scavenger lobby is this like busted up, broken window, pipes everywhere, leaky, dumpster fire basement, slum place. And like just on that alone, you get this kind of vibe of what this game is. And the Death Garden is this digital arena. Like you are playing essentially, like, literally a blood sport, and you have an arena that digistructs the arena kind of every match. There's 3 or 4 maps, I want to say. Like I have my favorites. My favorite one does not show up all that often. It's got these kind of funky ruins in it that are really fun to play as a scavenger and maddening as a hunter. Also, if you've played against me when I've been playing a hunter, congratulations on your easy wins. I am bad at that thing, and we're not going to talk about why. So, I think this game is great. I hope it's around for many, many years. I have one really specific gripe with that game, and it is that playing a scavenger all but requires you play with a D-pad or with a controller, because I can't imagine playing that character mouse and keyboard style. Like it would just that's some finger limbo I'm not willing to attempt kind of thing. Playing
that's kind of the same for Dead by Daylight, to be honest.
Yeah,
with the survivors versus killers thing.
Yep.
It's definitely like FPS in third person. For me, it's always easier to use.
Me too. It's the parkour aspects. I try to like, unless you're mapping that like jumping action to like one of your mouse buttons, I guess, which seems nightmarish to me. It seems like kind of a complicated choice. But so on the flip side, the hunters are first person, and just given the speed of the scavengers, basically require you to play with a mouse and keyboard. Like you're going to have a bad time as a hunter if you're not playing mouse and keyboard, at least on PC, where that's one of the places Death Garden's available currently. And swapping between the two is kind of weird for me. Like having both hooked up is a choice that I'm like, this is dumb. It's not a huge problem, but it feels like that should be addressed. And there's a great disproportion right now of scavengers to hunters. If you're playing a hunter, you will get into a game in seconds. Scavengers, it's between like a 30-second to a 2-minute kind of lobby setup, but that's still pretty fast for online games. I cannot say enough good things about this game. Like it is a really good game that's just a ton of fun to play, and if you're looking for something different, I cannot recommend this game enough.
It's also cheap. I mean, even not on even not on sale, it's still cheap. Like really, like way cheaper than a game of this caliber should be.
Definitely. I look forward to seeing how this game goes. Like I could imagine a world where like you could do some real cool microtransactions to this game. The whole unlock system for the game right now.
They don't really do microtransactions though. I mean, I think that they must be a very specific thing. The only thing that they've ever released for Dead by Daylight is DLC. Just DLC chapters, DLC occasional DLC like
Yeah.
clothing.
Well, so and
I guess that's kind of microtransactions for some of that because it is smaller.
not in the way it's
prices.
necessarily meant. Like skin, this
Yeah.
game feels like
Yeah.
This game feels ripe, and it should have skins. Like maybe just mask skins or something. Because like if you want to get me real nitpicky and maybe listen to this podcast and maybe get that, like a little more kind of scavenger customization would be cool. Like I'd like my character to look like I want it to, but also like this game is super new and they have nothing but space to grow in, and like more game modes that aren't just Blood Garden would be cool, but also Blood Garden is totally fine and awesome to play. So shut the fuck up, Charlie. Like it's more like this is a great base for a game that you could go just so many cool places with, or you could leave it the same and just keep making it better at this level, and I'd be fine with that too. Like I would love to see this game grow because like what it is a fantastic foundation, and just a couple more game variants I think would try and break up the monotony some. Which monotony's the wrong word, but like I want a game mode that I jump into and it's just okay. Here's your lobby of 6. We're gonna randomly assign hunter and randomly assign scavenger, and like at the end of a round, we're just gonna change it up. Like I want a rolling game mode of okay, you're all in. One of you will be hunter, and then we'll change it, or you can like vote to stay the same if you want. Like it's I want to be able to roll from match to match instead of what it does currently, and have like a random aspect to it, I guess. But like again, I also super enjoyed what I did so far. It's these are all nitpicky like things I'd love to see, and I have nothing bad to say about the game that's like about its current thing, except like, man, I wish there was more of it. I wish there was more of this awesome thing to play.
But they're as a company, they've been extremely good about releasing DLC. So look forward to seeing the next possible license they get. I suspect they're going to try for the Predator license.
It would make a lot of sense. Prediction. It would make so much sense. I also think the skins versus full-on character approach is a real smart approach because it opens you up to the microtransactions stuff in a good way, where it's like, yeah, it's a cheap game, and you can support development for it by like, hey, we put out the Predator, hey, we put out like the people from Hunger Games or something.
Yeah, that would also be
scavengers.
Yeah. That sounds pretty fucking legit.
Yeah. Like that's the kind of things they could do with this game. Like it's hey, here's the Battle Royale pack for the scavengers. Here's the Hunger Games pack for the scavengers. Here's I'm trying to think of other hunters you could put in this game, like Terminator, but like Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator would fit in this game too.
Yeah. Probably
didn't
didn't
get like commandos from Predator when you release it as a pack. You can do like Predator on one side and the commandos from Predator on the other side.
So, yeah, part of me kind of wants a hunter versus hunter mode, and I know that would kind of suck, but also like it would be fun because the hunters are playing them is tense, and like while you feel powerful, you're not like God power. You're just more powerful than anything else in the field. I don't know, like a hunter versus players mode would be cool, where it's like, okay, there's 2 hunters and like they can fight each other or they can fight the players, but like one hunter will win over the other. It just sounds cool or something. I don't know. Like there are so many cool variants you could do that can use the same maps and the same characters and all that stuff. That would just be neat to see in this game because like the base of what it is so fucking good.
To be honest, they're probably just going to stick with the main one because just that game style alone, balancing that is nightmarish. I can't even imagine. Because I mean, the balancing for Dead by Daylight is just an insane constant thing because balancing asymmetrical versus is it kind of blows my mind. It's just really massively difficult to try to balance that out.
Like I said, like all these are like nitpicky things. I'd like in a perfect world they would do this, but also like the game is amazing as it is, so maybe you leave it alone. It's a great game. It is so goddamn much fun to play. And if you're curious, you should check it out like I did. Like I went in being like, okay, it's Dead by Daylight, people. Let's see what this is like. And then after 2 hours, I'm like, this is real good. They should stop making Dead by Daylight and focus on this. Dead Body Island's dead. Death Garden forever. Death Garden, Blood Harvest. Here we go. Yeah. I kind of, as Alex alluded to during our kind of intro, I have also been back on the Destiny train. Unlike Alex, I have played up through a chunk of Forsaken, and the Destiny news that came out sort of reinvigorated my burning vigor, if you will, and I've been hitting that game hard. Like, I'm not in the newest content that just I'm not doing Season of Opulence stuff necessarily, but I did use the level boost for Season of Opulence to get up to like a point where all activities prior to that are a little bit easier, but also like I'm having a shit ton of fun playing Gambit Prime because Gambit is still one of the best FPS modes ever made in a video game. Turns out Destiny's real good when you're not annoyed by it. Like, also in the worst way possible, coming back to the season and having all the shit there to do makes Destiny really good because you can stack shit on top of each other where it's like, okay, go do some bounties and unlock a forge, which requires grinding out enemies anyway. So, yeah, I know the stuff post-Forsaken has been kind of weirdly received, but I think some of the stuff they've added in part of those things are the season pass model works, I think. Like, some of the stuff they added kind of piecemeal style is so goddamn cool and wouldn't have worked as kind of its own like $20 DLC, I don't think. I love the blacksmith stuff, or the season of the blacksmith stuff, like that whole little game mode that's kind of half basketball, half murder ball, half, hey, you're blacksmithing a weapon is just fun and cool. Yeah. Also, Gambit Prime is great. I fucking love Gambit Prime. I'm working on my Reaper set. There's some glitches going on out there preventing me from progressing some, which, heads up, I guess, like, fuck, I'm going back and getting weapons from previous DLCs I didn't bother getting because I didn't want to grind, and now I'm like, I got reasons to grind right now because I gotta kill like 8,000 hives, so yeah, let's do it. We got stuff stacked, it's good again. But yeah, Destiny 2 is real good apparently. I'd also like to, because we had a whole podcast dedicated to Alex's appointments with Game of Thrones. I wanted to remind you all that Chernobyl is now done, and you can watch all of it on HBO, and you should go watch it because Chernobyl's really fucking good. Like, according to IMDb, the best show ever made, which I don't think so, but
there was actually it's funny you mentioned that because I think there was a really interesting thing that had popped up online that said, like, you should lock down the ratings of a show after a certain amount of time so it stays the way it is.
Yeah.
So, because at that point, I think Breaking Bad would still fucking rock it. I started rewatching Breaking Bad.
I would argue Chernobyl is Breaking Bad good.
Is it?
It's of that quality. Like, it's 5 episodes, so it's way easier to do than Breaking Bad. But like, I knew Chernobyl was a miniseries. There'd be 5 episodes that would end. I am sad Chernobyl is over because it's really goddamn good. Like, it sticks. Like, it, you know how it ends. The USSR falls apart, but like, they still managed to make the ending of the episode, the ending of the miniseries, like, compelling and gripping and surprising, and like maintain the nuclear horror movie vibe through the entire franchise, even when like it's just an episode on like the cleanup and stuff like that. It's a dark ass show that like does not lend itself well to office conversations because you will find yourself having a conversation about the dog mass graveyard at some point where it's like, yeah, it's fucked up, it's terrible, but man, is it well shot. And like, again, like when you take a step back and remember, none of like, this is a drama, so parts of it are kind of fictionalized, but like the essence of everything done on this show either happened 100% or close enough where it's like, yes, this is the dramatization of this occurrence, but people were actually doing this. Yeah, like, fun facts about Chernobyl. They killed every animal they could within a certain radius of the power plant to prevent the spread of radiation. And I mean every animal.
Wow.
Like deer, dogs, birds, everything.
That's the thing. I mean, like, a heavily radiated animal could go and like die in some, potable water that people are using, and yeah. that just ruins that entire pond or whatever water source it was. So I mean, horrible things done in the name of just preventing more horror.
Yep. But yeah, that's been my week. A lot of Death Guard and a lot of Destiny 2. It turns out, major progress was made on maybe getting the studio set up. So fingers crossed on that one. I have my shelving set up so we can start unloading stuff to get my floor cleared up so we can start running cables and shit like that again, which hopefully won't take too long. But yeah, you're up next now, right, Henry?
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
So to kind of continue on the note of really dark stuff, I picked up this War of Mine over this week, which it was on sale.
Yes,
so I was
Depression Simulator.
Yeah, wow, it's an important game.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing game. It's an important game. And if you ever wanted to know what it was like to live in a war zone, this is the game for that, because it's a roguelike in a certain sense, but you're not meant to win. Nobody wins. You just survive.
I ran that back to like what living in a war zone is, a taste of living in a war zone, if you will, because you're still playing a video game and you can walk away.
Yeah, I mean, and there's and some things are simplified, but a lot of it is like, this is just horrifying. Essentially, like in the main scenario, you play as 3 people and it's in a fictional country which is broken out in civil war. And you're stuck in one of the war zones, and you're just trying to survive, get by, like find water and food, and find stuff to maybe rebuild the house you're trying to inhabit, and maybe make a few creature comforts, like like put together a radio, fix a radio, or make a bed so that you have something to sleep in and don't just sleep on the cold floor. A heater. I mean, you have to build everything, and so each night. So during the day, people can come by to visit, like to try to barter, or maybe they need your help, and you can try to build stuff and fix the house and whatnot, as well as dealing with any injuries people may have received from anything, or if they're sick. And then at night, you have the option to either just have everybody sleep, and you could either sleep, guard, or scavenge. So sleeping, you can choose to sleep in one of the beds. You can guard overnight because, hey, during the night, you can get raiders. Raiders will just come in and take your stuff. Like, it's just an event that has a chance of happening. And having a guard makes that event less likely. But then there's also the option you can send somebody out to scavenge at night. And so you play this out. You actually go to a particular site and you look for food and parts and whatever you can find. You just scavenge. So some places are not owned by anybody. They're just public areas, kind of, where you can go in and try to find things. Other places that you try to scavenge are inhabited. I mean, you're kind of doing the same thing that the raiders are doing. You're rolling in and taking stuff, stealing stuff from other people. So it's in a lot of ways a really hard game to play. Like, as far as psychologically, because it's dark.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gritty, it's realistic.
Play it in bursts, if you will.
Yeah, I couldn't play it in like more than like a couple of hours, and even that was like just kind of starting to be like, man. And the thing is, like, I'm a person that already kind of tends to think about some of this stuff. Like, I have, like, basically it's like, it'd be like people in Syria or in Yemen, some places that are in outright conflict right now. That's what the game is like. Because there's places that were some places are just dangerous. There's snipers around. And if you like, there might be a lot of stuff to gather there, but also you might just die. You don't have a life meter in this game. You just can get injured and then maybe die. It is a game of sacrifices, because you have to make a choice, because some days maybe everybody's injured and maybe everybody's sleepy, but you don't have food, so maybe you still have to force one person to go out and scavenge because you have nothing. So you have to make a lot of hard choices.
Yeah.
People can starve to death. Your characters can starve to death. So I mean, it's a rough game, but it's I hope that it reaches some people that haven't thought about this before. that somebody is playing it that hadn't considered what it must be like and how horrifying war is and how just the horror of war. I mean, I don't want to go too long into that subject, but it's just I mean, I haven't been in a situation like this, but I can only imagine a lot of the things feel amazingly visceral and real, like what's going on there. I mean, I've read reports on, places that are under abject war, but yeah, it's amazing. It's profound and important, a important work of art, an important work of literature. I mean, in its way. So I mean, yeah, that kind of, yeah, it already has left an impression on me. Like it's definitely left a very lasting impression on me just playing the game, just the way what I played of it. And I haven't even gone into the other DLC yet, which is apparently even darker.
Yep, I've played it. It's not a bit, yeah.
So
for the children.
Yeah. So other than that, I've been playing. I'm still playing some Slay the Spire. I really like that game. That game is definitely an addiction to me. That type of gameplay, because it's a roguelike, and it's turn-based, but it just has the mechanics to it. The card mechanics to it are just so fun, and so I'm still enjoying the heck out of that game. Putting a lot of hours in that one. Plus, it runs just fine on my computer, so that works out well. So yeah, but I mean that's primarily it's just really those two games that I've played. But this War of Mine, it's left a mark on me. It's an important game. If you are interested in that sort of a game or that sort of a theme, and it's just a fantastic game. It's really an amazing game. But yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like this is one of the games that I point to when people have this. People still exist with the notion, oh yeah, games just for kids or games like just violent blood sports. Those are the kind of the two main stereotypes. And then I can show them this game among, well, many, many others, to be perfectly honest. I can show it. But I mean, this game is on that short list of what do I show people who say that games aren't art? Play this War of Mine and then get back to me. I mean, that's the thing. It reminds me of a court case that occurred one time that was pretty much like the judge made this asinine decision that basically said, like, games can't express a message, therefore they aren't art. It's like, no, I would want that guy to play this War of Mine and then tell me that games can't portray a message, that games aren't art.
Sure.
So, but yeah, that's kind of what I got up to.
I find it sad that we talked about a literal blood sport in this episode, and also this War of Mine, where it's like, man, we hit both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing, like, fictionalized, violence versus, that's the thing, it's like, the fictionalized violence, like, knowing that it's fake, and knowing that it's not representative of anything, I'm like, just like in movies, it's like, that doesn't bother me. This War of Mine unsettles me on a deep, deep level.
Oh no, and it should. That game is something.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, there again with the sort of video game critics who are like, oh, well, they're just, violent bloodfest, and it's just making everybody terrible. It's like,
yeah. No,
the fictional violence isn't like people. That's a very different thing. The fictionalized violence versus something like this. This will, there again, like, this is a whole different type of thing, and it will affect you.
Yeah, I'd recommend this War of Mine for days you're having too good a day on, like you need to bring yourself back down to even.
Yeah.
Like the only good day to play that game is like,
well.
yeah, like if you win the lottery, go play this War of Mine to bring yourself back down to normalcy.
Yeah. But an important game.
Yes.
It's not that expensive either. It's pretty cheap. So, I mean, even though I bought it on sale, I mean, it's still cheap, not on sale. So, Anyway,
Yeah. So I guess that means it's time for news. There we go. So we're gonna kind of race through the news this week, and by that I mean we have 3 news articles we have to talk about this week. They are Destiny, Stadia, and the most important of them we'll start off with, which is Xbox is launching its own cleaning supply line for your body. They're offering body scrubs and all that jazz brand with Xbox. And I'm joking, we're gonna talk right about Stadia now. I just wanted to bring up that fact for a quick second because I think it's dumb.
yeah, wow. So, do they have Cheeto flavor and Mountain
Oh god,
Dew
we're not moving on
flavor?
fast enough. No, but it appears to be Mountain Dew scented, kind of.
Oh god.
Yeah!
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, why? No.
So these
No!
fucking normies know who they're dealing with.
Oh no, I'm looking at the combination. It smells like a combination that would smell like body odor. Alright, so kaffir lime and winter lemon. That's fine. In a sense.
Finally!
And then aromatic herbal middle notes of mint and sage, and woody bottom notes of patchouli and clearwood. The combination of those things does not sound good.
Finally
That
a
sounds-
counter for every Smash tournament being like, fucking bathe your horrible bodies.
Yeah,
Well,
but
see,
I
it needs
mean,
to be Nintendo branded.
But I mean, it does not sound like it smells good. The combination, all right, those things individually would probably be fine, but combination sounds like garbage, like actually like what you might find in a garbage can. It's like just random food stuff.
Henry, I
Okay.
get it. Just because you're not gamer enough to wash yourself with Xbox branded body wash does not mean you need to take it on those who will. I myself am also not gamer enough and will track down anyone who buys the stuff by scent. But
Sense.
I will let you know my review of these products right now.
of course you will.
All right.
Because I am a true gamer, and everyone should know when I smell like, patchouli, mint, and sage, and all
You
that.
want to smell like
Oh,
corporate
oh, yeah.
synergy?
That's right. That's right.
Finally, I
Ugh.
smell like a brand thinks they smell like. Suck it,
Ugh.
nerds.
That's right. Everyone's gonna know I'm a real gamer, rocking out.
We'd like to announce that Alex has now officially been sponsored by the Xbox. Not Microsoft, just an Xbox is giving Alex money to do this.
Yeah. Dude, where's the part I put hashtag ad?
I think you just did, so we're covered.
Hey! Now the part comes in where they send me the money.
Yeah, that's how it works. Just say hashtag ad and they have to send you money.
Yep.
Oh
Any
god,
day
imagine
now,
that's how
guys.
it worked actually. Like well,
Right? If that's the case, shit. Guys, can we take a quick break from the podcast so I can enjoy this wonderful round of Hot Pockets hashtag ad?
hashtag sponsorship, hashtag you owe me money, bitches.
I expect a truckload of Hot Pockets. Thank you.
Hashtag I'm too mercenary to mention you unless you give me money.
Yes. Indeed.
Oh, oops! I dropped my Aquafina. Hashtag ad.
I know it won't. I know it won't happen, but like deep down, all I want is like a fucking herbal essence style ad with this gamer ass shampoo, just like noobs, while the guy's doing his hair or something. I don't fucking know. Life is terrible and a nightmare. We should move on.
Yeah.
On to actual news this week. So, as joked about previously, E3 is now just a concept, and while we're not going to do our full E3 podcast, we will be doing our pre-E3 in a little bit now. 2 news E3-esque things did happen prior to this that aren't technically E3. And the first of which is Stadia. Stadia got out there and announced kind of what's required to run it. Allegedly, and kind of throw a big asterisk allegedly across everything we say when it comes to specs involving Stadia, because while I may have pre-ordered this damn thing, I don't think any of us have touched this yet, so it's not really clear exactly what the rules are. But they recommended a minimum you want 10 megabits per second, which is pretty achievable in the US, but not universally across the board, and that will allegedly get you 720p, 60 frames a second stereo. If you can get up to like 20 plus, you can get 60 frames a second, 1080p, 20 megabits per second, and 5.1 surround sound. And in the 30, probably close to 35, but kind of beyond that range, you can get 4K HDR video, 60 frames per second, blah, 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 blah. Again,
5.1 sound as well.
Yes. The 5.1 sound is very important.
Honestly, I don't know of that many games that support that.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
I mean, it's still impressive.
Yeah. My joke was more of how many games actually have that, so it's just another thing you can throw down there. Google had an event. They announced a bunch of games. We're not going to go over all of them, but stuff like The Division 2 is coming to Stadia. It was described really awkwardly in the Stadia screen as...
Yeah. All right, yeah.
It's an RPG they put cover shooter mechanics in. Which isn't not correct, but also feels like a jank way of describing it.
It's an interesting way of describing a thing. Yeah, I love how hopelessly, I guess it's just always, anything E3 related is just always going to be hopelessly a bit awkward when you actually get real devs in there and real people kind of, and just making them talk. But yeah, Division 2. So
yeah, Destiny 2 is also coming to that. We'll talk more about what that means in a couple minutes. We got pricing out of this finally. So the Stadia Pro, which is kind of the streaming subscription game, the Netflix of video games, if you will cost you $10 a month. It does not,
which is not bad.
Yeah,
that is not bad at all.
Depending on what games they get, it could not be bad. Yeah, like it is a thing. On top of that, you will be able to buy individual games for your Stadia. You'll be able to have a digital library, if you will, of games that will be playable on your Stadia.
Which is also very cool.
Yeah, and there's no pricing listed for that. You do not have to have a subscription to play the games you own, but you will get it. Basically, the Stadia Pro is kind of PlayStation Plus, Netflix-esque, where you will have games via that you can play so long as you have that. But if you get rid of it, then you lose the games. But you will still have access to any games you actually purchase. So it is possible to play Stadia with no subscription, which for me was actually kind of a big question, but cool.
Yeah. They mentioned a lot of interesting things. So they and talking about just what Stadia is, and so they talked about both game players and people who watch games. So that's interesting.
I think we covered some of this while you may have been out for a bit. Like this is the second of two Stadia press conferences. Some of this was rehashing, but some was also clearer. Like they didn't bust out the teraflops number they had last time because they got laughed off the stage because of that one.
Yeah. Well, I think the interesting thing about it is it is hardware independent because it's basically you're streaming a video essentially. You're streaming a video from their server, and then you have a controller, and so I think that's kind of fascinating. Well, the controller, which they describe as this controller was designed for streaming games. What does that actually? It's not, there's no controller that's designed for streaming games. Well, that's just corporate speak. That's hilarious. There's just two buttons on it that have special functionality.
Let us expand the asterisk you were picking at and not realizing how much of an asterisk it is. So controllers will run you $70 for standalone controller replacements, whatever. You can get in. I think pre-orders are still up there for the Stadia Founders Edition, which is $130. It comes with the Stadia controller and a cool copy of Destiny 2, along with Shadowkeep expansion, a 3-month subscription plus a 3-month buddy pass. So I can give one of you two the pass in theory. And this is the most important part, what kind of pushed me over the edge. It also comes with a Chromecast Ultra,
which is pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah,
that's an expensive. That's actually kind of an expensive little piece of equipment.
This is something I've been eyeing the Chromecast Ultra for a little bit, and kind of this is the major asterisk. if you want to play your games on anything but an Android device or a computer, you have to have the Chromecast.
Which makes sense.
It doesn't make sense, but it's if you want to get into real nitpicky specifics, this is essentially just the smallest console ever.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. I think it's a pretty amazing idea, but one thing that I think is kind of possibly interesting is, all right, so now you have basically a hardware independent to the masses, which I think is great because especially for people in countries where computers are just super expensive, like a really nice computer is super expensive, or a console is ridiculously expensive. I know that, like, for example, in Brazil, like, the newest consoles can cost up to like average year's salary for a console. So I get that. I think it's a great thing. They've been trying to do this sort of thing for a while. Like, the Phantom was the failed attempt at it. We've talked about others like Ouya or whatever. But this is it's really great idea.
Is kind of an attempt at this in a weird way.
Yeah, you're right. I'm also curious as to, I wonder what this will do for people for the PC market and the console market, considering that console and this is replacing both of those things. It's hardware independent. You can use it in theory on a very lightweight device, a very not as powerful device.
Yeah. So, and as a addicted Destiny player, the fact that they're doing cross saves and my cross save will work on PC, PS4, and Stadia, like, in the dumbest way possible, that's what finally pushed me over the edge, actually, where I'm like, okay, we should talk about this for the podcast and stuff ultimately anyway, and they've solved my mobile Destiny addiction. Like, where I was taking an iPad to work with a video game controller, I'm already taking my phone and getting a little fancy carrying case for a Stadia controller is not the dumbest thing I've done, for being totally honest.
Well, yeah, I think that could. I wonder how it may or may not affect sales at all. To be honest, but it could. It's just kind of I think it's an interesting side possibility because why buy the most powerful computer, the most powerful video card, and all that noise when you can just have a very, very lower end average computer and then literally play anything on it. Not buy a console either. Like, you can skip the console thing and play. Yeah, just play games on whatever device you feel like playing them on.
Well, so
yeah,
what you're getting at is kind of a weird, contentious point where the tests for this thing have been pretty controlled, and like they mentioned fighting games as part of this round of announcements for it, but
yeah,
it's still not clear if the lag will be imperceptible. But it's one of those ones where if we're talking like the times I was playing Gambit during my lunch break by streaming my PS4 to an iPad, there was lag there, and I noticed it, but it was kind of can't deal with, it's not worth dealing with. If I was at home doing that, like if I didn't have the option for lagless gaming possible or as lagless as possible, that might be a problem. Like, it's can you have a fighting game community where Stadia is your base platform for that because you're now you're now working around the lag that goes into that game? Like, there's a lot of kind of up in the air questions about Stadia that have yet to be answered. Like, we know how much the Pro thing costs. We're not super clear what games come in the Pro yet, or like, it's cool Destiny 2 is coming to Stadia. What other games are coming to Stadia? They showed off a bunch of indie games that are cool, but I
don't know. They showed off a ton. I saw
games already out
Xenoverse
though.
in there.
It's the Switch effect where it's it's I already own some of these games. Why am I restarting or buying this again for this weird platform?
But then again, it's I think it really seems like it's not aimed at you and me.
Yeah,
it's really not. It's not aimed at us here. Honestly, the three of us here on the podcast. It's aimed at people who don't have ridiculous computers, people who don't have consoles. It's aimed at people who maybe don't have never had the money before to really pick up all that stuff, and now they can do it at a very budget cost on budget equipment.
So here's the problem with that analysis, and,
Okay.
and this is the thing that catches me.
Mm-hmm.
The same people who don't have the crazy consoles or their crazy PCs also don't invest in really fast internet.
Yeah, that's us.
And most internet ranges are pretty fucking slow. So it's kind of a weird oxymoron situation, or not oxymoron, but like it's a weird irony that like it's a good way for these people to come in new and fresh, but those same people aren't buying the minimum 10 megabits per second internet in some locations. Like I know my family, like if my mom, like let's say my mom theoretically wanted to pick up and play some sort of weird game, her current internet won't support it at all.
Really? She doesn't even have 10 megabits? 10 megabits?
She gets easy, small, like cheap DSL now, I think, or something.
I didn't think they even did lower than 10 megabit in this country.
Well, so remember, in
You have
this
to live out in the
country, in this
countryside.
country we live in, it's up to amounts. You're not
Yeah, that's
guaranteed
true.
the number you're paying for. Like, fuck.
True.
We have a we have a larger bandwidth at work, and my home internet gets often 2 to 3 times the up down of work that we're paying for a like commercial grade internet traffic. The one I have at home
It's also-
isn't fantastic.
Well, I mean, but of course, at work, everybody's using it.
Yeah, that
That's
becomes
a-
the whole
that's a-
thing.
that's
No,
a
when we've
company
done
of people
isolated
using
tests,
that
like
thing.
when we've had network problems, we've done like, okay, shut everyone the fuck down and test.
Mm.
Like it's like,
yeah, and you're absolutely right. It can vary. It can vary wildly on up to with the up to thing. But yeah, but yeah, I can see that. But even then, it's like to get a 10 megabits isn't super expensive. I mean, if
it's available,
Yeah,
like there's half of
Yeah.
my neighborhood where it's not available technically.
where internet isn't available,
We've talked about this before. Like half of the town, it's not half, like a chunk of the town I live in, they just never ran lines to. So your only option is satellite or to tether your phone.
Interesting.
Yeah. Unless you've got like you have like, what do you call it? You have these providers who do like some of that cell phone tower internet,
Yeah.
but even
Yeah,
then it's not that much.
That's
It's
what my
weird, like-
parents use, actually. My parents, because they live out in the countryside, I'm from the countryside, they have, their internet is via a cellular phone service. I mean, they have a special modem and everything for it. It looks like a typical modem, except instead of being plugged into the wall, it's just getting cell phone signal. So, but yeah, so as a result, their internet, and also because of where they live, their internet not that great. Like I remember when in winter in December when I did one of the podcasts from my parents' home, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that their internet was at least decent enough for me to at least do voice connection. So, but yeah, I get that. Okay, yeah, I get that not everybody necessarily has 10 megabit internet. Anyway.
Yeah. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have, and I'm just wondering if this came up, but like on the other side of the spectrum, let's say you've got gigabit internet, you've already got a crazy PC and console, you're good to go on all that. So you want to stream the full 4K HDR, 60 frames per second, 5.1 surround sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
It means potentially you can use up a terabyte of data in 65 hours.
And if you have data
And
caps,
and if you have data caps, that's another fucking issue right there. Like,
yeah.
It's a weird. This is kind of a weird project for me. Like I want to root for it, but the way the dependencies that Google's going to need for this to work properly aren't really friendly to it. Like you have on one side where you have slow internet speeds that are up to a certain amount, and on the other side you've got data caps. Like it's a weird.
Yeah, I think it just occurred to me what another one of their major customer base will be. All right, so as we know, the portable systems like the 3DS outsell like the consoles like 100 to 1, like in some cases literally 100 to 1. And so and the reason for that is, as if you were a parent, like, are you going to buy your young child a $600 console Are you going to buy them with games that cost $60 to $80 to $100? Or are you going to buy them the $150 console with games that are like $5 to $20? I mean, that's an easy choice, super easy choice for any parent. I mean, that's why they sell so well, because they're cheaper and it's easier access. So I imagine this could be a thing for parents picking up for their household, for their kids. It's like, hey kids, we aren't going to buy a PS4 because they cost too dang much. But hey, well, I'm willing to pay $10 a month so you guys can play whatever games you want on whatever computers we happen to have around the house, or whatever devices we happen to have. So I think that's that's another possible major market for this. That's what I see. So for parents figuring, do I want to, am I going to drop, $600 to get plus all the accessories so that my kid can play Destiny 2, or am I going to pay $10 a month so that they can play anything and not have to worry about buying hardware? So, yeah. But yeah, it's a weird thing. I think you brought that's excellent points, Alex.
Yeah, it's just like, I want it to work. Like,
Yeah.
I want the cloud service stuff to kind of work in a weird way.
Yes.
The idea is great. It's just there are
weird...
too many dependencies outside of Google's hands that are at play here. Like with a console, sure, like it is a higher entry level point in terms of cost, but once you buy the console, like if you buy single player games, you're playing your games. Yeah. Like you could have what I guess a console technically not plugged in and still play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, there are some live service things with some newer games that becomes an issue. But like, if I wanted to play Red Dead, I'm pretty sure if my console was unplugged and I just threw in Red Dead, I can play Red Dead.
I mean, I guess I'm already kind of used to it, having used Steam for so long, where it's like I kind of don't and I kind of do own the stuff. I mean, it's unlike the stuff I get from, say, Good Old Games, where it just lets you download it. You don't have to use their client at all. You can literally just download the stuff and play it. But yeah, I get that too. But I mean, it harkens also back to the days of when video game rentals still existed.
They still exist now, actually.
I to a way smaller extent. It's not very common now. I mean, it was. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the Blockbuster days. Where there were and stores like Blockbuster where you could go and rent a game, and that's not really much of a thing anymore. And so this is kind of that idea. I mean, that's kind of where Netflix got their jumping point. Same idea, that it's a kind of a replacement for rentals. I mean, because there's a lot of games that are like you play them once and you're kind of done. And
wait,
I think
you
it makes
telling
sense.
me the Stadia is the Blockbuster of video games?
Maybe?
Blockbuster of the modern era, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, well, the same as Netflix was a Blockbuster killer. I mean, this would have been too. I mean, it's the same idea. It's like, why rent a game when you can pay $9.99 and just not even need the hardware to play it? I mean, so yeah, I see that also as a thing for, much like, PlayStation Pro, in that, there's these big library of games, but many of them you might play once and be like, oh yeah, I think I'm done with that. I'm probably never going to play it again, because there's most games are kind of a one and done experience. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's like once you beat the game, a lot of games are like, well, that's we've told the story and that's it. So, and then, now you just, so I mean, I definitely get this too, especially there again, like with, you're buying for your kids, it's like, do you want to buy like $50 games every single month, or are you going to pay $10 and let them play whatever they want, and it doesn't matter if they pick a game up and literally never play it again, play it once and never play it again, you haven't kind of, blown money on it, or if they pick up a game and they're like, I don't like this game really, and they just literally never play it, it's like, well, I just threw down $70 for a game my kid's never going to play. But yeah, so it's just, but there's weird thing, to me it just means that Google Fiber should be everywhere.
So let's put on our crazy Charlie paranoid conspiracy hats for a second.
Okay.
I think fiber should be everywhere. So and this is kind of a bit of a stretch, but I'm not even the originator of this idea. Google has once again found a way to essentially sell a new aspect of you. If you don't think the Stadia will in some way be capable of monetizing whatever useless data it gets out of you, like down to the hours you play or how often you press that goddamn A button, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they already do that with Steam, and I'm sure they do it with the Epic Store. I mean, that's just they track all that stuff. It's
right.
My
point
the hours
being, Google is bigger and scarier with some of that shit, and where Steam is selling games, hypothetically at least, Stadia is Google's
selling
always been about
souls.
that metadata.
Yeah.
They've just now found a way to make you pay them more money to be the product.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest hurdle this thing faces is internet. And like countries like Japan that have fucking kick-ass internet, or people like me that have
South Korea.
Yeah.
South Korea.
Or like people like me, like it's my phone has a busted cell phone plan. Most people don't have the legit unlimited data I have. Like it's the chances of me using Stadia at home at any frequency are low. The chances of me using Stadia like at the office during lunch break are infinitely higher because I've used a shittier version already. Like fuck, I was texting Alex about like, yo, explain Pixel 3 phones to me because that's the phone this is most compatible with. I'm sure it will come to other phones pretty quick. Look, I need a new phone, and part of me is like, maybe.
Pixel's a solid phone, but like I said, that OnePlus, I'm a big fan of the OnePlus.
This is not the time for phone chat. Just like my point being, like it's of the three of us, I'm the one that bought this, and probably the most inclined to buy it for like dumb reasons, like yo, I can take it to work and play on my phone at lunch. Because I have a Destiny addiction, and a round of Gambit makes me happy. But yeah, like I think you hit the nail on the head. Where this isn't really for us. Like this is not a product necessarily for us, but it might be. But also, I think all of us demand like laglessness in a way that I don't know if this thing will deliver. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Maybe I'll be like, fuck yeah, I'm never buying another console again. Fuck Steam. Fuck PCs. Fuck everything. But I don't think so. Like again. Looking at this thing, I'm not unconvinced this controller won't be problematic. Like, something about it just screams not good enough PS4 controller.
Yeah, well, I mean, but they also straight up said that you don't need this controller.
You don't.
You don't.
For browser play. For the, like, streaming to your TV or to your phone, I think you do.
I guess, well, how would that even work?
Well,
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, is this controller Wi-Fi enabled?
I think it's I believe so, and I think it talks to. I think it's Bluetooth. Actually, I'm sure they said that somewhere. But I think it's one of those ones where only like the only way to play Stadia on your TV is with that what's it called, the dongle thing for a TV,
the Chromecast Ultra.
The Chromecast. I suspect if they're smart, and this is how I do it, so I'm assuming they're smart.
So does the Ultra have a Bluetooth thing built into it?
Yeah, I think it does.
That's impressive, considering that, I mean, it already has a Wi-Fi thing inside of it. That's what a Chromecast is, essentially. It's a Wi-Fi access point.
And maybe it's a Wi-Fi point, but I could imagine it only recognizes Stadia controllers. Like in the same way that I own a special controller for playing games on an iPad, I had to get a bullshit like third party. We make these specifically for this and got approved through a whole dumb process. Like you can't. Like, they announced this recently. Like I think this week even. Like you can't just plug a PlayStation 4 or Xbox controller into a iPad via kind of connection or connect it wirelessly. You have to use like one of two controllers that like it officially recognizes, because iOS is a weird little nightmare unto itself.
Yeah, that's just Apple being a little closed off like
Right, but what I'm saying is like Google could do the exact same thing. They can't stop you from doing it in browser mode, which is just like you playing a PC game at that point. Like
yeah.
the browser mode is the one that makes the least sense, but I also get the most. Where it's like, yeah, you can run it on a shitty laptop at that point. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But you're essentially PC gaming at that point. You're losing the whole hardwarelessness. The no bulky console, or I'm playing it on my phone. I bet that requires the Stadia. I bet that requires the Stadia controller 100%.
So, do you think the Stadia app is only compatible with the controller?
I think that is my assumption. I might be wrong, but like here's the cynical thing. Like if I was doing this, that's how I'd do it. Like for no other reason than because it forces you to buy the controller.
Yeah, and man, that's an expensive controller. But it is because it has some. It's got two whole extra buttons,
Henry.
I mean, it's designed for streaming games.
Whatever the fuck that means.
If it's just Bluetooth, all the current controllers are Bluetooth. I mean, that's not special.
Yeah, I don't think it's a connectivity thing. I think it's literally the Chromecast, your phone, the Stadia app won't recognize anything but this. The same way that plugging a PS4 controller into an Xbox One doesn't do anything. It goes like, fuck this, no. Like, there are ways around it, but, yeah. But I think we'll see. Like, there's no way we can say much more about this in a meaningful way, like,
until it comes out,
yeah. Like, like, it's one of those ones, if it works in where I live, it will probably work where you live, Henry, and, like, doesn't your building have, like, gigabit, Alex?
Do I have gigabit?
I think your apartment's wired for gigabit, though, technically, right? Like, I know...
technically, yes.
Like, Portland is more progressive internet-wise than LA is. They have better sort of internet kind of thing. Like, but, like, also, like, next time you go to Oklahoma, I'm probably loaning you this thing to see what nightmare that is, Henry.
Oh, yeah, I'm not... yeah, like I said before, like, I was just, like, happy to be able to share voice chat.
Yeah, no, like, we will embark upon a bizarre adventure of Charlie goes places with Stadia and does things. Like, it's like, can I play in a volcano? Can I play in a blizzard? Can I play at a funeral? Yeah, apparently. But I get glares.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I like the fact that their stream was also so dense. There's so much in it. It was barely over 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just, they threw a lot in there, as well as, like, several kind of reveals. I do have to say the one reveal that looks the most interesting to me is the one called Guilt. I think that's maybe how it's pronounced.
I thought you were going to Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, GYLT. Oh, yeah, they announced Baldur's Gate 3, which... Alright, so I played the original one. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm...
Okay, cool. I thought you'd be all fucking over this, just given your gaming interest.
I thought I would be too, but I think I was always less interested in the Baldur's Gate main series than I was on other games done with the same engine, like, Planescape Torment, which is unequivocally one of the best RPGs around. Honestly, like, as far as storyline, just really cool storyline and really cool character interactions. So much voice acting. You ever play that?
No, I'd never heard of it before to this right now.
Planescape Torment. It even has a spiritual successor sequel called Torment Tides of Numeria, which is and isn't, because, you know, it's not officially D&D licensed.
I know the blue guy from the box art, but that's about it.
Yeah. Oh, it's an extraordinary game. Extraordinary. And tons of voice acting. All of the characters interact with each other as well. And, like your main kind of, like, I guess he's sort of your sidekick character, Mort. He's voiced by Charlie Adler. And if you don't know who Charlie Adler is, he's done tons and tons of voice acting. So, including, like, Roger Rabbit, and just, I mean, that's old, but I mean, he's done tons of voice acting. He's a famous voice actor, and he does Mort, and it's amazing. But yeah, the storyline is really incredible, twists and turns, the characters and what you start to find out about all the characters, and even has characters like that really don't get along, and you can't put them in the same party. You can't have one. It's like mutually exclusive. But yeah, I mean, so that's my favorite of the sort of that engine games made with that engine, and it just blows away Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate, I got bored with straight up. Like Baldur's Gate 1, I didn't even finish it because I was just like, and I have the remastered one too, and I went back and played that, and I was like, yeah, I kind of remember like this game didn't grip me. It's the storyline is kind of, I mean, there's interesting parts to the storyline, but there's not enough of it. I mean, maybe if Baldur's Gate 3 comes out strong with a more in-depth and engaging storyline, for me personally, yeah, I'd be interested in it. But yeah, the Baldur's Gate series, I just was kind of meh about, to be honest, because it's just the stories were kind of thin. In my opinion, anyway. Don't at me on this. It's an wildly unpopular opinion.
You heard it here. Henry hates Baldur's Gate, and you.
But yeah, I mean, but for me, Guilt looked the most fun because it's a horror. I love horror games. I love horror as a genre. That should be obvious by this point. And it's a horror themed game. It looks kind of like it looks kind of like Silent Hill, except you're a very young kid. Like, and it looks pretty cool to me. Get Packed. Oh man, I love these kind of.
It looks weird. It looks in a press
like
conference
games like that
was dry. It felt fun to see that.
If you've ever seen Overcooked, if you're familiar with the Overcooked game, that's what it reminds me of a lot. I wonder if it's even this. Yeah. Oh, and yeah. I mean, those are. I mean, that's a party game, and it looks like a lot. It would be a lot of fun. I mean, I have to say, and I will say this: their sort of launch titles, these 5 or so launch titles, it's a good mixture of stuff. I mean, they're missing a couple of genres, like the sports, namely, and a fighting game, but those were hinted at near the end.
Yeah.
It's sort of a quick flash of games that are probably coming to this thing, or maybe have already said they are. But in any case, yeah, it's a pretty good mix of stuff, to be honest. Get Packed was a good inclusion, I think, to mix it up, like, because not everybody always is all about, loot shooters. I have this written in my notes. Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I super don't care.
Yeah, the more they show of that game, the less I'm going to buy it, in all honesty. Like, a follow-up to a game, I'm like, this could be cool as a sequel. I might check it out then. They have done a great job of killing any interest I had in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on one hand, I love the guy who played the Punisher. On the other hand, I didn't need another trailer of him talking gravelly about the horrors of war for a video game and using the word wolves as much as he'd. Can I get a fucking video game that involves mercenaries that never uses the word wolves? Like, I want to play as like Honey Badger Squad or something. We're the Indigo Honey Badgers. We're the dangerous mercenary group out there. Yes, the Honey Badger. We're
the Rainbow Unicorns.
God damn it!
We're the Rainbow Unicorns.
Yeah, something. Dear Internet, if you know of a mercenary game that never uses the word wolf ever, let me know. I will play it and tell you what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the games that they're kind of choosing as their, I guess, launch titles is the proper idea, because this is basically a virtual console of sort. But yeah, I mean, yeah. We'll see. We will indeed see.
Yeah.
So what? Oh, I also just had a thought of possibility of VR on that. I wonder, but anyways,
don't throw that nightmare in. Imagine VR with streaming lag. That's people would die.
Oh God, yeah.
But just
that's
just
how we get
that one out there. Oh God, yeah.
Actually, do that, because I want to live in that world, but don't, because that's how people die. So the other big, not E3, totally an E3. They said they weren't going to be at E3, and now they can officially say they weren't. Thing that happened this week is Destiny 2, specifically Destiny 2 Shadowkeep, specifically the Destiny 2 Year 3 live stream they did that was made up of a bunch of things that, like, on their own might be some of the biggest gaming news of the next 2 weeks, but by their powers combined, really make you wonder, like, were they asked not to be at E3 because they're going to overshadow a bunch of shit? Like, was someone afraid to have Bungie in a press conference being like, yeah, so we got stuff to talk about? Because holy shit, the Destiny community right now. And the game, and therefore all of video games, because fuck it, we'll make that Canada joke. And so, I guess kind of run down this one some. So, the Destiny kind of Year 3, Destiny 2, I keep calling it just Destiny, Year 3 live stream happened, and like this is the first major kind of interaction that the game's developers have had with the fan base and the world, for that matter, really, since they're very public with Activision. And they start the goddamn thing off by just saying, yeah, Destiny is an MMO. After 5 fucking years of them tiptoeing around the words MMO or massively multi-online, and then be like, no, we're not that at all, and just being like, yeah, fuck it, we are. That alone was enough to make me like go, I'm listening. Because that's what this game has always been, whether it was actually that or not. And then they kind of proceeded to launch into Shadowkeep, which has taken us back to the moon, which is apparently haunted and still full of wizards. In the trailer they showed a bunch of villains and enemies from not Year 1 Destiny 2, but like D1 as a whole coming back. There's either it's Crota or Crota's like disciple thing. They showed Skolas. It sure as hell looked like they showed off Taniks, who's a fan favorite. Like they might be doing the thing I keep saying they should do, which is put all the fucking shit from Destiny 1 in Destiny 2 already. And that's a big fucking deal. Like this is potentially kind of the Court of Oryx. Not Court of Oryx. Was it King's Fall? That's the raid. I've taken King expansion big. Like for an expansion that saved a game might do the same for a game that's already in really good shape, where you're just adding a holy shit on top of it. Yeah, the game's fine. It's good, which is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, they announced that they are severing, as part of the Activision sever, they are now moving Destiny 2 to Steam, which again is a big fucking deal. They did this in the trolliest manner ever, which I could hear the entire internet collectively go and then breathe a sigh of release at, which was they said they need a new Epic partner for PC distribution, and then they revealed it was Steam. Like it was a cute 10-second gag they did that it could have gone truly terrible, and then every fucking Steam stand was like, see, Bungie's coming to Steam, and they can go fuck themselves. But I was kind of sad Alex missed it, because it felt like an Alex level troll moment at that point. But so
I'm proud of that.
So that's a big fucking deal unto itself. But then, like, again, we're not done. So the game is technically, there's been rumors about free-to-play Destiny for a while. And while Destiny is not technically going free-to-play, it also technically is. The base game of Destiny 2, of Destiny 2 is going free-to-play. And I believe that means everything up through the end of Forsaken, meaning kind of Shadowkeep on, that will be paid expansion stuff, but Gambit, Crucible, the base storyline, the strikes that you kind of know of as of right now, you can just download Destiny 2 and play that stuff. Meaning, if Henry, who has never played Destiny before in his life, and I want to play, we can, as long as we stay in the base activities. And like Gambit, Crucible, and Strikes are all base activities that can benefit players of all levels. And they're also doing this whole new kind of reworked little light system that will help boost you to, quote, relevant levels faster. And as part of that, again, this is kind of the Destiny 1 nerd in me coming out, they're bringing back the incredibly cool like sets the lore for the rest of the game intro mission from Destiny 1, where you wake up in a fucking car graveyard from being a
They're
zombie.
doing the first mission from the first game, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
It's
a correction. It will be Curse. The base version of Destiny will be like up through year 1. My bad, but I believe it still includes Gambit, which I fucking love Gambit. They should definitely make that part of the base game, but that doesn't matter. What matters is like this is a big deal, and so then on top of all of that, we Destiny fans are getting the thing we keep wanting: fucking cross saves. And as part of this, they're doing away with all the exclusives, meaning your gear in one place is the gear in everywhere else. It's not clear quite how cross saves will be working. Like, you're going to have to nuke some characters is the general assumption right now. And like one thing will take priority over the other. But for most Destiny players, that won't be a problem because, well, we've already kind of had our preferred platform to play on, so just nuke the not preferred one. And as part of this, crossplay between PC, not crossplay, cross save between PC, Xbox, Google Stadia, and PS4. And probably the PS4 one was like agreed upon the day or so before the live stream happened. Like, it was a hard negotiation. But yeah, this is a big fucking deal. I was not expecting this level of silence.
Yeah, I don't play Destiny, so what am I going to even say? Like, even in my notes, I have like, I don't know anything about Destiny. I don't really have a whole lot to say.
Yeah, it's not quite on the same scale, but like I would argue that the potential impact of this would be akin to World of Warcraft saying, like, okay, so base game up through Wrath of the Lich King is now free to play.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty big news.
Yeah.
I agree that is pretty massive news, but it's just like, yeah, I mean,
what
do you think that'll mean for their like DLC? Do you think they'll put in more microtransactions?
So as part of the Season of Opulence we're in right now, they've already revamped how the Eververse store works, which is kind of the cosmetic DLC space or the microtransaction DLC space.
Okay.
And people for a long time have had a bit of an issue with Eververse. It's been kind of complicated, and I think rightfully so. But now that they are indeed going free to play, the whole system makes a lot more sense. Where it's, if you see a ornament you like, fucking buy the ornament, and that'll support development of the game. Moving forward, and they talk about this kind of in the part of the stream, we're going to approach expansions as kind of adventures, where you're not stuck buying all of a season, you're stuck buying an adventure kind of thing. Like, it's the season pass. The season passes work because you get all the year's content, but I think like they're returning in some ways to the idea of DLC, where you can just buy what you want, which I think is actually a really smart move. As much as I've, in hindsight, have enjoyed kind of the whole, like, year 2 of Destiny 2, I think has been good. Like, coming back to it as all the stuff out probably kind of tilts my opinion some because there's a lot to do, but the stuff they've done seems cool. And like, with the exception of Curse of Osiris, Destiny's DLC has always been solid. Like, the other weak one, which is House of Wolves, also had something called Prison of Elders that is a divisive thing. People either love it or hate it, and I'm in the love it camp, and as a result, I don't think House of Wolves was that bad. Like, I think the idea of making the base game free is a really good move, and like it's really weird seeing a developer talk about the challenges of approaching their game, and I think Bungie's very aware of kind of how impenetrable Destiny or getting into Destiny can be, because it's an investment. Like, it's, as they say as they like flat out say, like, it takes like 40 hours to get to what's now the real game, if you will. You have to play through all of the base level stuff, and the idea of, I'm going to slap down money to then spend 40 hours catching up to my friends, that's just not fun, which is the whole idea behind the little light and the kind of free aspect of the game, where it's like, okay, you buy our platform. You'll have to buy the end game still, so we can kind of keep this whole train going. But like, we can get you in still. You can get up to most of the way up to your friends before you invest, which just seems smart to me. And I think like if this is successful, and I have a feeling it will be, you're going to see more games go this direction. Like I think if Anthem had launched in a similar state, we'd be having a very different conversation about that game. Like it doesn't fix the brokenness of that game, but I think it matters in some ways. Like I think the Secret World could have benefited from a similar system where like it went free to play eventually, but the idea of if that thing had launched as like, hey, here's the first level, and then you're buying like because that game sets up as comic book style, you're buying like new stories as progression works. I kind of think that's the future. But so long as you have like a basic mode, like again, you have the strikes, you have Gambit, you have Crucible, you have a thing that you could never put money into the game hypothetically and still play enough of the game. Like fuck, PUBG is one game mode. It's battle royale. Yeah, there's doubles, squads, whatever. But it's at base level. Like there's only one thing to do in that game, and it's had an exceedingly long life and exceedingly high success. I think for games, for multiplayer games, the idea of offering a very cheap to free base entry point to see if you like it, and then offering kind of further ways to expand on that is not just a smart move, but kind of what you're going to have to do moving forward. Like it's the new MMO model, if you will, because it's like the number of games I won't pick up because like I would play more Final Fantasy 15 if there wasn't a subscription base to it. Like if I could get through the first 50 levels on a free to play account or like a severely discounted account, and then be like, okay, if you want to play the real game right now, this is all defunct stuff you have to get through anyway. But like if you want to play the real game, now you have to start paying money again. I have played a lot more of that game than I have. Like that game is intriguing to me, but the idea of spending money just to get caught up to Alex so we can do stuff again isn't appealing. And like the point of MMOs is you play with your friends, you play with other people, and the idea of getting caught up to those people is a problem that this hypothetically fixes. Like it's the take your time, you'll get there. It's not costing you anything, but when you get there, then you'll have to shell out some coins so we can keep this thing going. Like it's you're still paying for a game at that point, but you're not like it's the free sample principle, like at Costco or other kind of grocery stores, where it's okay, if you like this, you'll buy it probably. If you don't like it, we've just taken up a little bit of our server space, and still you engaged with it. Maybe you dropped a couple coins in kind of the Eververse and bought a cool skin for your gun or something because that was like $1 versus 40 or something. This is what I've always wanted Destiny to be in a weird way. Like it's like in a perfect world, we'd have never left Destiny 1, and it would have been like every year and a half, 2 years, hey, give us $60, we're giving you a giant fuck off expansion, or every year, give us $30, big expansion kind of thing, and keep going from there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I will straight up say that one of the things that kind of kept me out of ever playing Destiny was the price, especially like learning that to play. Like, I remember the first time I was talking with somebody when Destiny 1 came out.
Yeah.
And they were totally, this is a person who's very good at the game and is totally into it, but I was like, the amount of money it takes to actually have the full package is like hundreds of dollars. I am not going to spend literally hundreds of dollars on the game. That will literally never happen. I've never done that, and I never will. It's like, even on games that I like that are, I won't spend that much on DLC.
Yeah.
I haven't spent even a fraction of that. And man, Destiny has the most expensive DLC I've ever seen. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of content. I'm not acting like the price isn't in some way or another not warranted, but I could buy literally other games, like several other games for the price of that. But for them to actually go to the kind of freemium model. Yeah. That will make me want to play. Straight up. I'm going to say that, like, now I'd be willing to play it, whereas in the past I wasn't willing to drop, $300 just to get the full experience.
The get caught up with Destiny situation is a ridiculous one. It's not a unique to them situation, but, like...
Oh, no, yeah.
It is a problem facing modern games, but also, like, if in year one of Destiny 2 I could have played... Warmind and not Curse of Osiris. Knowing what I know about Curse of Osiris, I wouldn't have played Curse of Osiris. I would have just been like, fuck that. That expansion is bullshit. gonna sidestep that. Or like going back now, it's like, hey, is Forsaken worth it? Yes or no? Yes, okay, cool, I'll buy it. No, I'll pass it up. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see where this goes, because you're right, like it solves a big problem, hypothetically.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It was expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally the main thing that kept me from ever even considering Destiny 1 and even Destiny 2 for up to this point is the price point. It's like, when I could go and buy a Switch for the amount that I would have to spend just to get this game in full, I'll buy the Switch.
So apparently, from what I was gathering and on conferences and stuff like that, the whole pricing model and everything like that was a big Activision.
Yeah.
push.
So.
Oh yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Kind of
Activision
at the time it looked good. In hindsight, maybe it was a weird choice. A lot of shade was thrown at Activision and publishers, kind of in general, as part of this, which I don't think surprises anyone who follows games news. Like there's always been that weird disconnect between how much this is the developer choice versus how much of this is kind of publisher influence, and it was the weirdest, most interesting thing about this whole kind of stream for me was kind of how frank they were about some stuff. Where they're like, "Yeah, we understand this is fucked up right now, and we understand we haven't talked to you guys since the split happened, and a lot of people care what the fuck that means. Here it is. Like we're not doing a normal business model. We're doing something totally new for us."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, the other thing I'm really stoked about, and I don't know if you saw it yet, no more of that bullshit PS4 exclusive.
Thought
Sony
I mentioned that. Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I missed that one, but yeah, I'm so fucking glad that's not a thing anymore.
Well, the cross-platform saves alone, that's amazing. That's
Well, I mean that stuff in its own was solid, but there was another thing. I don't know if you're aware of it, where there were some strikes and some guns that were only in PlayStation 4. And even though, like for Destiny 2, even though we all bought the same game, PlayStation and Sony had a very specific, special set of stuff they could get that we weren't allowed to get until
a year, if
what
not
was it?
later.
Was it for like Destiny? Yeah, wasn't it like Destiny 1 got like the PS4 stuff or the PlayStation stuff like almost 2-3 years after it's been out or something like that? There was something.
Yeah, there was a couple things that came to the Xbox version. Like I think it was a full solid 2 years after the Sony version did. And this is where it gets weird. So in Destiny 1 and in Destiny 1 specifically, they often were kind of segmenting off a strike. And Destiny 1 especially had problems with content. And that's content with a capital C, meaning you just didn't have stuff to do with some frequency. And I want to say the base game launched with like 4 strikes. So an extra strike was actually a huge fucking deal in Destiny 1. Like Destiny 2, I think there was one exclusive strike, but mostly it was guns and stuff. Like it wasn't as egregious, but like it was a bigger issue in D1 because like there was like lore in like it wasn't like the segmented off thing wasn't like a lore thing or like important to the game. It was it was 100% part of the game that was essentially ripped out of the Xbox version. And I don't want to say it was noticed, but like it was D1 was a PlayStation 4 game. It was available on the Xbox, but like if you were serious about Destiny, and I mean like serious Destiny, you played like more than 5 hours a week, you should have been on the PS4 just because of the sheer there was more shit to do. And I think PS2 had at launch, not PS2, Destiny 2 had like a strike exclusive to PS4 at launch, but it's not been quite as bad moving forward. But also like trace rifles, they've had at least a couple really good weapons in the game exclusive to PS4 for a while now. Like they actually added it to the PC and the Xbox version a couple months ago and had to like revoke it.
Yeah, that's weird, but yeah, it sounds like that's not going to be a thing with it now. And that's good. Yeah, give people that are playing different consoles the same stuff. I mean, all right, so I remember when there was a Soul Calibur that came out where the bonus character was different for each console. It was like, I think one was like Darth Vader and another was Spawn. I don't, but yeah, I remember each
Yoda
of the consoles.
and Vader, and so from Soul Calibur 2. You're talking Soul Calibur, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Soul Calibur 2 was Heihachi on PS2, Spawn on Xbox, and Link on GameCube. And it was Vader versus Yoda for Xbox versus PS3 for Soul Calibur 4. And fun fact, Yoda was broken as shit.
Link was also broken
Not
as
in the
shit.
same
Link,
way Yoda was.
I thought Link was on all the consoles.
No.
Oh, okay. I just remember playing with Link a lot, but maybe it was because I was playing on a GameCube.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on the GameCube version.
Yeah.
But he was broken as fuck, too.
Yeah. He
one-
played like a faster Sophitia, and I play the heck out of a good Sophitia.
He also apparently had juggles where he had 100% combos.
Yeah, that's Sophitia.
And Spawn had a weapon that could kill someone in 2 hits, so maybe DLC character or maybe guest characters are bad. But
Mm-hmm.
But that's what that reminded me of. But yeah, now that would that's not a thing now, not so much.
yeah. No, time will tell on this one. It's cool seeing as a developer as big as Bungie go self-publishing, kind of in a defiant move. We'll see if it pays off. Like if this could become the trend. If this is fruitful, I think you'll see more of it. And I hesitate.
Well, it's like me. Well, it's like for me, it's like if on a free-to-play game, if I like the game, I will buy stuff to support the developers. Like for still the only MMORPG that I still play, Terra. Yeah, I bought stuff in that because I liked the game enough where I wanted to buy stuff for it. So I bought cosmetics because I was like, hey, I like this game and I want to support the development of it. I'll totally buy a flying llama mount for my character.
Yeah, it's up in the air. Like it's kind of a dangerous comparison to make. So I don't know how it's going to shake out yet. Like this kind of feels like Blizzard pre the Activision purchase or merger.
Yeah.
And we all know how that went, don't we, Alex?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That does it for Destiny 2 talk. It's time for our sealed envelope, sort of, because it's kind of happening around us. We've managed to be oblivious of it. Pre-E3 discussions.
Woo!
Pew, 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 pew,
If you've never caught,
it's that time again.
yes, if you've not caught our podcast in previous years, we're now going to make a variety of wide, crazy predictions, jokes, references, and a variety of other things that may or may not prove useful, but it's fun anyway, because E3 is a dumpster fire this year. We're just heaping more firewood upon it. Let's go! So, before we get going, actually, sorry, I shouldn't have said let's go. We are aware that, like, an E3 press conference is about to start in minutes of this recording, us recording this podcast. We have not watched anything except the Stadia and Destiny thing because they weren't technically E3. But yeah, the EA thing has already happened as of this recording. None of us have watched it, and it's been weirdly easy to avoid news out of it, which leads me to believe it wasn't that important. But yeah, I expect kind of our in-depth analysis, if you will, of E3 proceedings and news and drama and all that jazz next week. We hope you appreciate the next couple of minutes, because it's going to be wild. So, starting us off, E3 is our first press conference, technically. Do we get more Anthem news out of it? That is the correct answer.
Oh boy.
How many supervillain, Bond villain-ass outfits do you think the EA press conference is? 100% or 90?
100%. We'll go with 100%.
Feels like a accurate guess.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
So let's be a little more serious, I guess, for a quick second, because we should be. What do we think comes out of the EA press conference? Like, in all seriousness, if they stick to previous years,
which one?
The EA one.
Oh, the EA one. Sports ball.
Yeah,
sports ball.
I was gonna say, I'm assuming it sticks to previous years, meaning they'll show off like 3 or 4 indie games, talk about. They'll bring out a couple sports people to talk about sports. I really hope they have the wrong sports person talk about not their sport in this year. But I want
bring in somebody that's bring in a hockey player, preferably somebody with a really thick accent of some type, to talk about American football.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want. I want like Dmitry Stalingrad talking about American baseball, being like, "Yes, this is baseball. It is sport for weak men."
Can we just have Nikolai Tracksuit lead a whole?
He owns EA. Have you seen those press conferences with those guys that are obviously there to kill James Bond if he shows up? Like every single EA presenter is like on the verge of saying, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die." I watch every year on the hopes that like Mid-Sense One will go, Mr. Bond, thank you for joining us. My goons will be with you in a second. As I was saying, Madden! Like, that's why I watched the ECE3 press conference, to be reminded just how fucking supervillain ass corporate cultures can get. Yeah. I assume we'll see more of that Star Wars game that they showed off. I don't know how well it'll be received, because I'm not sure how well anything Star Wars will be received at this point.
Oh boy.
Do you think we got anything new out of E3 this year? Or out of EA, I
you
mean?
EA?
Yeah.
I predict we will get updates on the new Madden. They'll make the previous
I
Madden
said new, goddammit, not predictable. Like,
new. Yeah.
For EA, this is
that's
fucking
fair.
new.
I can't fight you on that one. Yeah.
Okay.
So let me give you a rundown on how this is going to go. You're going to have a new, let's say, new sports ball game presented,
Sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll have a pro player come out, like a pro gamer who's won a previous title on one of their esport events, come out and talk shit to some dude he played a long time ago. They'll bring them both on stage. They'll do a scenario matchup where we get to watch, or they'll have a bunch of YouTubers who don't really know anything about the game, but they're getting paid because they got that influencer
I
status.
have to interrupt for a second.
Play a fucking game.
Do we show shots of the influencer lounge like we had last year? Like, do we show that dystopian nightmare of a bunch of people not watching the stream, just streaming EA games with a bored, blank, like drugged out expression on their faces?
Absolutely.
And in that same vein, do you think we see a celebrity that should not be playing video games high as shit playing video games as part of the EA press conference?
Badly.
Okay.
Playing badly, of course.
Here's what we need to do, and I wish we had done this sooner, but let's do this. We need to put together a E3 or like a presenter fucking bingo board of shit we would expect to happen, and then every time something happens, which you know fucking will, we play bingo. Like, we should just do that.
We're kind of doing that now. Maybe this is how we cover E3 next year. Like, we've talked over the press conferences before. Maybe it's time for us all to be in the same location again and do this bingo thing. But yes, I'm hoping to have that set up
bingo
next year,
/ drinking game.
Yes.
Okay, so you'll have the influencers playing the game. That'll be there. They'll be excited about showing you a bunch of new mechanics and physics, and really focus on the physics of the game and Madden, and look at how this works.
Do you think they say grass
So that'll
tech?
be great. Grass tech.
I have to say, the only celebrity brought on to play a game that I've ever seen that was really entertaining and good, Robin Williams did a thing for Spore, and it's if you haven't seen the video of it, it's actually fantastic and wonderful. But that's literally the only example I can think of that's ever happened where it was actually fun, entertaining. The person playing the game was actually good at the game. Like, Robin Williams was, he played video games. I mean, that's it, we know that, and he was actually really, really good at working with the tools and working with the game. Like, he knew actually how to play the game. So that and he's Robin Williams, so of course it was super entertaining. But I want to see which awkward celebrity they drag onto the stage. That's that's willing to come to E3.
Yeah.
So I'll throw in. Yeah, we're definitely have at least 2 sports game announcements. One of them being Madden, and the other one being FIFA, which is obviously a fucking given.
Yeah.
They may do something with hockey and be like, yeah, no, hockey's still a thing. We still own the license. Fuck you all. So there'll be that. Anthem, whenever somebody brings up Anthem, they'll talk about the physics in Madden have gotten improved.
I don't think they say the word Anthem once. Like, I think if you say, like, I think if you yelled, what about Anthem to that press conference, the EA presenter robot time would just kind of pause for a second, go, oh, that's nothing, and then move on, Westworld style. Like, they have been programmed, obviously. Yes, I know they were supervillains a second ago, but now they're presenter robots to not recognize the word Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
Beep boop. What is Anthem?
What about Anthem?
Yeah.
Yes, as you can see, we have 4 new Star Wars games coming. But what Anthem? Star Wars!
Yeah. So... EA's conference
is always shit. Like, I watch it because it's terrible at this point. I go into low expectations, and every year I'm like, yup, this was what I expected.
But you know what it won't have, though? It won't have the cringe factor that Sony conferences have had in the past. They're very much like, hey, this is what we're doing for your money this year, assholes. Give us your fucking money.
I love that honesty.
We're EA.
I kind of love that approach. I wish every press conference started off with, y'all fucking addicted to video games.
Yeah.
It seems we have tapped the EA well dry, if you will. Next up is Microsoft. They got out beforehand saying they have 14 new games coming this year to the Xbox platform, if you will, including the like PC ports of stuff. I'm assuming we see Gears 5, which I would be super excited to see. I assume we see more of those 2 other Gears of War games potentially because they showed them last year. I'm expecting to get a set of Gears release dates. I only care personally about Gears 5 and the Funko Gears game because life is a nightmare and that exists. But do you think? I'm assuming we'll see more about Halo Infinite as part of this.
Yeah. They're definitely going to make a big deal of that.
Yeah. Some stuff leaked already early for that Ninja Theory game. I'm blanking on the name of it now. I should have made more note of this.
Hold on, I think I know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. They are the people who made Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Yeah.
Bleeding Edge.
Yeah, it's apparently a Melee 4v4 multiplayer game or something.
Sounds wild.
The art
very
image
much,
for it I found
very
off-putting.
much not like the first game. Very much not like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
No, you're still descending into Viking Hell to rescue your boyfriend, husband thing.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, amazing game.
Yeah.
I picked it up. It's freaking amazing. But in any case, yeah, their new game. Yeah. That's.
It would make.
So what do you?
I'm assuming we see what the fuck an Xbox Crimson is, or Scarlet, whatever the hell that thing's actually called. Like, I assume they talk about that in a meaningful way, and also like there's that Project X Cloud thing they've been talking about. Like, I think they have to unveil, and they've teased they're going to their streaming stuff. Do you think we see an Xbox One X Scorpio, whatever the fuck it's called these days, that's aimed at streaming?
That's interesting. That's an interesting idea.
That was a question. Like,
because there's this greater and greater like embrace of the idea of streaming.
Yeah.
Like by and it's obviously just a smart money move by all these companies. But what do you think? Do you think they'll see? My thought is maybe. Well, right now, in the past, I'd say honestly, there's been a huge breakout in the fighting game community, in the fighting game market. Like a lot of games coming out. Well, I mean, Xenoverse has just been, super popular and killing it. Dragon Ball Fighters. I mean, it's and so do you think they'll do a Killer Instinct? A new Killer Instinct?
Would love for more KI. I don't think so. I was
just wondering, it's one of the titles that, they've done a newer one a few years ago, but they haven't done one recently in the past few. So I mean, I'm like, Microsoft is, but I mean, the amount of games that they said that they're gonna, basically be releasing just shows how big their umbrella has gotten, how many game companies that they've kind of taken under their wing. It's interesting. That's a ton of games that they're set to release. But yeah. they definitely have a very wide umbrella now of companies.
Yeah.
Like KI is one of their homegrown.
I would love to see KI come back. I really would, but I think it's going to.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was
KI would be nice.
yeah.
Do we see like so? I'm 100% sure we're going to see something for Cyberpunk at E3. Do you think we see Cyberpunk as part of the Microsoft press conference?
I don't know.
I think compared to the other options, it makes the most sense, and they were part of it last year. Like it's them or the PC gaming show, and Cyberpunk is too big a deal. Like, sorry, PC gaming show, Cyberpunk is too big a deal to put there.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. I mean, well, the PC show has been used for a lot of not necessarily the AAA people.
Fucking Star Citizen was part of it last year, so who knows what the hell that show is?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Anything more for Microsoft? Or are we good to move on?
I don't know if you guys had mentioned this yet, but Fable.
Oh yeah, no, we hadn't. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
I haven't heard like actual proper rumors.
It's allegedly
about a Fable,
back to basics Fable too, like in the style of Fable 1 or 2.
Interesting.
Could be good.
Yeah, I'd be down for something like that because I was actually kind of excited about the online Fable game that was potentially
the multiplayer one.
I actually got into the beta for that one, and then
that game was cool. Calling it Fable was a bad choice. Next one?
Well, yeah. Next one is
Bethesda. To preface it, I guess, they've already got out there and said Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 will not be nothing will be shown for those things. Maybe they'll mention them. How do you think this year handles Fallout 76?
Did they say they're going to have Fallout 76?
They have to address it. Like that has come out since last year's E3. You have to acknowledge Fallout 76, I think.
Yeah, they have.
They already said they. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say they have to do announce something with it. I mean, because it's still a game that is in theory supported. Yeah. So,
I will tell you right now, they're going to brush it off. They'll bring it up and say something like, "Oh, hey, we had a little bit of a rocky start, but the game's popular and doing better than ever." Guarantee you're going to hear some shit like that.
Do you think?
Would not surprise me at all.
I think the kind of confirmed locks are Doom Eternal and kind of Wolfenstein Youngblood. Do you think we get a Wolfenstein 3 tease?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a wildly popular franchise. Yeah, so I mean,
the makers have said it's a trilogy. Like they're ending it in BJ Blazkowicz's arc ends in 3, and 2 definitely set it up for a 3rd to be the finale. Like, how much Doom Eternal do you think we see?
Doom Eternal? I don't know.
A new trailer. But, you know what? But what do you think that they might introduce in a new trailer? Like, what do you, like, that would make people go, ooh?
I think they show off the sword mechanics. Because they showed off the Doomslayer sword in that trailer from DoomCon last year. I think they show off how that works.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe some more weapons.
Yeah,
They've hinted there's like an open world aspect to the game or something. I think you show off. Or there's more like, I guess, openness to the game. I think you show off kind of how some of that works. Like, fuck. The Doom trailer we have so far has that like chain shotgun underslung thing. So just more of that, and I'd be like, yes, this is good. Good.
Yeah.
Like, maybe Rage 2 DLC. The guys that made Prey have been quiet for a while, so maybe something from that. But I don't know.
Oh, here's something that I caught. Somebody kind of reported on this. Shinji Mikami has been spotted around E3, and so people are wondering if there's going to be an Evil Within sequel.
That could be cool.
Announced. Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
I mean, he might just be there because he's just a luminary, and he's there because it's E3.
No, but that would be Bethesda, yeah.
I mean, that's evil. Yeah, I mean that's I'll put that down as one of my predictions.
Yeah, no, that's
Evil Within sequel, as far as things that they haven't mentioned yet.
Like
But yeah, if people don't know, I mean, Shinji Mikami is the director of Evil Within, but he's way more famous for Resident Evil. So
Yeah.
just gonna put that out there. So
Sure. Like, anything we'd want to see from Bethesda, like, it kind of sounds like anything we'd care about has been like, no. Like, I assume we won't see a new Fallout game teased of all kinds. That sounds like a very bad taste thing. Like, New Doom isn't teased; it's already coming. Like, I wouldn't object to a new IP, but also, like, I'm not sure what Bethesda owns at this point aside for Doom and Wolfenstein that I care about. Like,
yeah,
Rage 2 was a bad enough taste in my mouth that they're like, yo, Rage 2 DLC, I'd be like, no.
Well, that's actually kind of a part of my a meta commentary I have over all of these sort of games that have been announced, which is it's all sequels. It's all sequels.
Yeah.
Practically everything that's been pre-announced by all of the companies have been sequels. And that's kind of like okay. I mean, that's fine. I don't have a problem with sequels to games, and I don't have a problem with game franchises, but sometimes it seems like that's all we get. And I'm a person that kind of thirsts for new content and, to see something really new, but it's also understandable that you might want to continue a popular and a beloved franchise, no matter what that franchise may be.
No, I'm with you on this. I wouldn't mind seeing Bethesda take a risk on something. I know in their mind Starfield is like their big upcoming risk, and that's Bethesda proper. But they have some talented studios. I'm not sure I want another Prey because I really like that new Prey, but I wouldn't mind a new IP from them.
Yeah.
I think they will be happy to announce that the Fallout 76 collector bags, the canvas ones, are finally shipping out next week.
Yeah,
that's a real thing.
Will Andrew WK be there or not?
That guy lights up a room.
Yeah,
I am a fan of Andrew WK.
Yeah, how much Andrew WK? Not will he be there? Because I assume he's just there, like I'm hanging out. But like, how much Andrew WK will the E3 contain?
Will they bring him on stage? Is the question.
Yeah.
See, of the celebrities that can just make anything into something entertaining, he can do that.
I like Andrew WK.
You will whatever he does on stage, you will be entertained.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if he knows how to play the game worth it crap or not. He's gonna be entertaining.
The man doesn't play the game; he parties with the characters. That's Andrew WK.
Yeah.
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 Next up, the PC gaming show powered by Epic Games Store. Maybe we see Borderlands as part of this. I'm assuming another Star Citizen trailer because fuck it, why not? Maybe some Death Garden. I never know what the fuck this show is because it's
PC gaming is a mixed bag. We don't know what we're gonna. I mean, it's the same thing as like the Devolver Digital.
Oh, we'll talk about that one soon enough.
Yeah. But the PC gaming is it's a mixed bag. I don't know. It's too wide of a category for me to throw any particular.
I hope they continue their trend of every year since I started paying attention to it. I've seen something and went, that looks cool and weird, and then it was cool and weird and it came out, and I'm like, yep, that was cool and weird. I hope they keep that trend. Like, I tune into this thing at this point to be like, that's not for me, but people will enjoy that, I think. Or, like, I'm definitely getting that.
Yeah. I definitely pull way more out of the PC gaming showcase than I get out of any of the other ones, to be perfectly honest. Straight up.
Anything we want to see from that aside for Gabe Newell get on stage and be like, I have nothing to announce, then shuffle off. Do some knife tricks.
I don't know. Do you think do you think there's going to be introduction of any interesting PC gaming hardware?
Is that a thing they do in the past?
I don't know if they introduce hardware. They may show off some more stuff from AMD's new Ryzen.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's.
There are also rumors of a 2070 overclock or something like that matches the base model
like
2080 from
something?
NVIDIA, but I don't. Not exactly a TI, but something close to it. But like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean that's the only stuff I can think of. Maybe they'll talk about like some. Yeah.
I mean that's the thing that they often do. I mean it makes sense. But I'm just wondering if they'll announce something really big or new when it comes to any sort of hardware technology as opposed to just software. But anyway, yeah.
Goat Simulator 2.
Yeah, maybe some refreshes on some capture cards from Elgato or whatever.
That would make
yeah.
sense, actually.
Maybe.
Yeah, like if they want to take 10 minutes
Yeah.
to explain ray tracing to me, also, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can explain ray tracing
No,
to you.
I know what it is, but I want to I want people that aren't familiar with tech to explain ray tracing, because I get why it's important, but I need a video to aim people at. Where it's no, it's not just light; it's also sound and directionality. It's it's the physics of non-physical things, and that's why it's important. But yeah,
I can't think of anything else in particular other than maybe a few hardware refreshes, maybe some Razer stuff and Corsair stuff, but I doubt they even have. I don't think they would get stage time.
No,
Yeah.
But who knows?
they'll have a booth, but they usually don't go on stage to talk about it unless they have something extraordinary. Which I don't see any. I can't think of any hardware that right now that would be particularly extraordinary or just mind-blowing enough to actually want to take up some stage time for it.
Yeah, because AMD already did their big stuff
Yeah.
at Computex a few weeks ago.
calling it now. The CEO of NVIDIA gets out there and shoots the CEO of AMD on stage. That's what's going to happen.
All right. put
Just
that on the bingo
gangland
card.
style shoots him through the back of the head and tosses a couple bucks on him and walks away. Ubisoft.
Division 2 season update.
Yeah.
Because technically
Yeah.
there is a season pass. I would assume a season update of what's coming and what to expect on that. Let's see what else. Maybe another Assassin's Creed game. We're about due for
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
That Viking stuff came out. We might see some of that. It would make sense. That we're at that point in the cycle. Definitely. Speaking of cycles, I think stuff is leaked enough about Watch Dogs 3. I think you'll see something. What's that? Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if maybe they'll show off some of the stuff, but it might be Anthem-esque where they just show off like a cinematic for it, but there's no actual gameplay.
Don't know.
I don't know how far they are into it, but yeah, it might be like they do that weird scripted mission like they did for Anthem last year for that. So who knows? But yeah, I don't really see a lot coming out of Ubisoft.
Nope.
Well, they have to show off Beyond Good and Evil too.
Oh yeah,
Like
There's
they
that.
have to keep showing that off.
I'm not. I've looked at it. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's just thematically so wildly different from the first one. Just even the art style and everything. It's just I am a huge fan of the first game.
I'm with you on this one.
I love the game, but that's a whole topic in its own. But yeah, they're definitely I think they have to say something about it. Maybe a new trailer.
Yeah, I think they'll mention Ghost Recon. I don't think Ghost Recon will be a bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
They've talked about it so much. They had its own little press conference and everything. That was their own glorious nightmare. I think maybe you show a trailer, maybe you don't. New Splinter Cell?
I think they already. I think they already announced.
No,
something
they have
about
not.
What they have?
No.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But no, they have, or oh yeah, well, possibility. Actually, I think that's
There's been rumors for a
something
while.
that they've. Yeah, rumors of the newer Splinter Cell. Yeah. But yeah, they might.
They've got some
you know
roller
what?
derby game coming out, I guess, too. Something leaked about that I'm sure we'll hear more about.
I saw something about that. A new they're doing a sequel to the Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Oh God.
I like turn-based strategy games. Tactical RPGs
I
are
do
my
too.
jam.
That wasn't a good one.
But other than that, you know what? One of their franchises that they haven't done a game on in ages.
Mm-hmm.
Prince of Persia.
I feel like that franchise
would be
is
an interesting
dead.
one.
But why? There's nothing about it that really dates it.
Because they killed it. They had that one, rebranding of it that everyone hated collectively, and then tried putting out a more traditional Sands of Time game after that, and it did not go over well because the franchise was poisoned at that point.
you know what? They did another Prince of Persia game after that one. That was this sort of cell shaded, really colorful
That's
one.
what I'm saying. That's the one that people hated.
I love that.
Oh, most people did not go. That did not go over well with lots of people.
I love that one a lot because it just felt good to play. It was very different from the others in a lot of ways because it didn't use the rewind mechanic at all. Not really. But I found that game incredibly fun. I loved the art style for it. I preferred that art style and the color palette over the other games, hands down.
I think people like the visuals. So, I remember not liking how the combat worked, like it, because it was big bosses almost all the time. Like all the fights were like not hard, but more involved than I wanted them to be necessarily.
But yeah, I mean that's a franchise that, it could be easily revived. I mean, it's not like you can't revive a franchise that had an unpopular game in it.
Yeah, no.
It's been years now. It's been years now since the last Prince of Persia game came out. So that's what I would like to see. Throw that down on my predictions. New Prince of Persia.
What could a Prince of Persia game do that Assassin's Creed doesn't at this point?
I mean, that's a thought. That's actually something in my mind. Anything, a lot. I mean, you could do. It's just a world you can set things in when it comes down to it.
That's fair.
I mean, it just what are you going to? I mean, it's like what are your killer mechanic? What's your killer mechanic going to be? I mean, in the Sands of Time series, obviously the time rewind mechanic, but yeah, I don't know. That's something I'd like to see. I don't know if we'll see it, but I'll go ahead and throw that down in my predictions.
I hate myself for saying this, but if they were to get out there and say like a Sands of Time trilogy remastered, I might be down for that.
Yeah, that too. That'd be cool because the graphics on the old ones, they did not age that well.
Maybe like an RE2 style reboot of the original one, like it's a remake, I guess, not a remaster. I don't know. I love that first one a lot. The sequels were a little more polarizing, but
yeah, first one's fantastic. Yeah.
I'm not sure you get the soundtrack from the second one again, unless you'd want to either. But all that bad heavy metal. Ready to move on?
Yeah, they went 90s grim dark on us for the second one, but anyways,
drowning pool. Ready to move on to Square Enix?
Sure, Squeenix it is.
Squeenix had a terrible, for those not familiar, press conference last year, but we are also like 2 years out from Nier this year. I think they've already been confirmed they're going to talk about what's it called? The Avengers game they have.
Yeah.
It'd make a lot of sense to talk about that Final Fantasy remake that some trailers got out there for. They've already confirmed they're going to.
I've talked a bit about I've talked a bit about like how I feel about that remaster, but anyways, looks like they also have something called Babylon's Fall, whatever that is.
That's from Platinum, so I'm curious.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not super interested. I mean, I'm sitting here and I can literally just look over to my left and see my original PlayStation copy of Final Fantasy VII. Like, I just still have it. I just still own it. And it was why I bought a PlayStation. But yeah, I'm not super interested. But yeah, I think we'll definitely see.
I wouldn't mind seeing something weird from them. Like, Nier Automata was the last weird thing Squeenix got behind. It worked out real well for them. Like, it always feels like Squeenix at this point is our chance for like the truly Japanese style games still, which I know Jeff was a huge fan of them, and I am too to a lesser extent, but like it feels like there's a real void of that in modern game stuff. Like Atlas does their thing every once in a while, but I would love to see kind of some of those large, like swooping RPGs to come back in a maybe not meaningful. Like I don't need more 100-hour RPGs in my life, but like the visual spectacle of some of those games I miss.
I mean, Squeenix isn't the only people that do RPGs.
Sure.
I guess it's not the same, but like Nippon Ichi has always had really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's more the production value Squeenix put into games that I.
Yeah.
That's more what I'm getting at, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as far as being a visual masterpiece of the sort, yeah, I get that. But
who published
also,
Judge?
I don't know.
Is it possible that could be a Square Enix thing? 'Cause that'd be cool to see like a more like as cool as that would be. Like, do you think we get a sequel? Like, maybe not a sequel, but like something equally what the fuck as The Quiet Man? Because remember, Square Enix brought us The Quiet Man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, we've made our thoughts on it very clear, but at least they tried. I mean, they're. I mean, you know what? They're exploring, experimenting.
Yeah.
Which, as I mentioned before, not all AAA companies are interested in doing that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But what about a new Deus Ex?
Sure, I'd be down for that. I think Deus Ex got
I like
shelved though, and
Yeah.
I think launching a Deus Ex anywhere near the time that Cyberpunk is coming out is a exceptionally bad move.
You're I don't know. I mean, or it'd be an exceptionally smart move because you want to catch on with the trend.
I think you have to get it out before Cyberpunk comes out. If it's coming out after, like, if they get up there and be like, yo, Deus Ex launches in September, look forward to it, then you're fine. I think if it's like Cyberpunk launches in November, we're also launching in November, then you're fucked.
Yeah. There's too much hype over Cyberpunk.
And the last Deus Ex wasn't good enough to like get people going about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, agreed. But that was just a thought. I mean, it's just there again, it's a franchise they own.
Yeah.
No, but I'd like to see some crazy JRPG come out of it as well. I mean, for me, like that niche has been filled by the Persona games, which are JRPG as AF. It's like but yeah, I'd like to see Square Enix do some more Square Enix. So yeah.
I can't think of anything else.
I can't either. That's the problem. Yeah. Like, they technically publish what's it? State of Emergency. What's that crazy game with Rico Rodriguez in it? That's Avalanche made. I'm blanking on the name. Just Cause. Like.
Oh yeah, Just Cause. Yeah.
Maybe new Just Cause.
No, it's too soon after the last one came out. So and the last one didn't do great. So I don't expect to see that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a dead franchise. I just think it's way too soon after the last one. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm more interested in seeing what the new stuff that some of these companies might put out. Something that's not a sequel or an existing license. That's not an existing franchise or a license. That being said, though, I mean, I'm also excited to see some licenses and some franchises continued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We good?
Yeah, for Square Enix,
right.
yeah.
Devolver Digital. Let's not even bother talking about the games. How many people will be maimed or shot on stage this year?
At least
two. Man.
Do you think we'll get it? Will we get resolution about how their CEO is now RoboCop?
Yes. Also, it's going to be a Gallagher type performance for their press conference. The first two rows need to have anti-rain and, that little fucking poncho you get from the Jurassic Park ride at Universal Studios before you get on. You're going to need that. Putting that there. But, I don't know. They're also a weird bunch. I appreciate their trolly quirkiness.
I didn't the first time I saw it. I did not. The last year, though, because I knew it was coming. I'm like, okay, I'm down.
They have their library of games is amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
Like they have some really really cool games. I have to say, like Katana Zero, I haven't picked it up, but I am kind of interested in that. It looks cool. It looks interesting.
So the big one for me is what is Metal Wolf Chaos. Do you think we finally get a release date for that?
Yes, please. That for those not in the know, Metal Wolf Chaos was for the original Xbox, but it wasn't released in the U.S. as far as
there are ways to get it, but yeah.
Yeah. But, oh, it's such a gonzo, ridiculous game. It deserves...
Not a
more
good
people
game,
deserve
but
to
it's
play
a great
that.
game.
No. Yeah, it's gonzo. It is crazy. It is... Yeah, and I want to see, this... it's going to be an HD update remake of a game that was already completely insane to begin with. So, yeah, I think that's super cool.
Oh, do you think we'll see something for Serious Sam?
That's something they haven't. Yeah, they haven't done anything with Serious Sam. Not really in a while.
No?
Oh yeah, there is. Oh, that's right. Okay, I saw this one mentioned before. I can't pronounce it. Iter. It's one of the games that they have coming out,
Sure.
and that one looks kind of. It's another pixel artish game. Which,
one of those.
I've already made my feelings clear on that, but it looks cool, and I kind of like the isometric RPG games, to be honest. So I mean, that one seems kind of cool, and there's not a whole lot about it right now, but yeah, I think Serious Sam would be very cool to see something like that. I own Serious Sam. I've played a good bit of them. And it's just, if you want just, like FPS, that's a game you pick up and play. Just the purest form of the FPS in a certain sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see if they just come out with something completely wild. That's what I'm kind of.
And that's what they do.
Because that's what they do. Yeah, I mean, I want to see the next crazy, wild, ridiculous thing that they come out with next. I'm definitely into that.
I also want them to up the body count this round, a minimum of no less than 5 people killed on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the Devolver coin, the totally useless physical cryptocurrency, will be mentioned as part of this press conference?
Maybe in passing. I think cryptocurrency kind of died, so I don't
Fair.
think we have a reason to meme it up.
A piece of plastic with a randomly assigned value that changes daily.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's literally every currency.
Indeed.
But just saying. I mean, I'm not defending their pointless currency, but I'm just saying that's all currency.
That's
all
fair.
Currency does that.
Nintendo.
Smash Brothers update. For sure.
But what characters?
Oh, fuck. I don't know. It's some sort of weird-ass franchise. You think Dante?
That Devil May Cry game's on the Switch now.
Dante's made his way into a few games now, so that would be unsurprising.
On Dante.
Yeah.
General expectations are we're going to get Luigi's Mansion 3, Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4, and a shit ton of Pokemon stuff. Think there'll be a new Zelda game?
No.
We're about due for a new
they're announcing a remake anyway of an older Zelda game, so I mean that's already been announced.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
that. Link's Awakening, the one that was on the original Game Boy.
Okay.
So I mean it's not new, but I mean it's another Zelda title. But the Metroid one is the one I've been possibility of a Metroid that's the franchise that they haven't had a new Switch game for. Now they already had a remake of Metroid 2 on it.
Well, this is Prime.
The Metroid 2 remake. Yeah, it's the Prime series, and it's returned to Armature Studios.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we're actually not good with the Metroid series. Other M was like, well, yeah, widely panned, to say the least.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's give it back to the people who can do this whole FPS Metroid thing right. And now that the team, Armature Studios no longer has to work on Bloodstained so much, they could actually devote time to it. Yeah, if you didn't know, Armature was one of the several studios involved in making sure Bloodstained actually gets released. But now they'll be able to really devote their time more fully to making another really good Metroid Prime game. So I think that's that's something I'd like to see, and I think there's a pretty high possibility of it. There again, it's one of their big franchises that they generally they put it on every console one way or another. But yeah,
Think we'll see
Do you
something
think-
new?
It's also going to be,
no.
yes, I think we'll see a new president show up on stage. Because
Oh, yeah.
this time, this will be the
Oh yeah.
Nintendo without Reggie.
Oh yeah. Reggie.
Bowser in the house. Okay,
Yeah,
how
Bowser
many
in the
Bowser
house.
jokes
So,
do you think he
expect-
makes about being named Bowser?
Oh, I don't know. What's the measurement for a metric fuck
Metric
ton?
fuck
What's the
ton, I believe.
conversion on that one? Yeah. What's the conversion on that to shitloads?
I think it's 2 metric fuck tons for every shitload.
There you go. So, yeah, there will be a lot.
Yeah.
Do
I
you,
imagine we'll see a lot of that in the audience, in the possibility in the audience too. A certain amount
well,
of people holding up
it's just gonna be the
signs of
direct,
some
it's no
sort.
audience kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a direct. Okay.
So, do you think they're self-aware enough to when he comes on, when he first shows up, they play with that Mario Kart Bowser roar thing, that like rah sound?
Something. They're gonna because
when
they've
he
already
enters and
already
exits stage?
recognized it. I mean, he's already recognized it. They've already kind of played around with that. So I imagine, as weirdly awkward as it will be, they'll do something like that,
Sure.
and it'll be charming and not cringy at all.
Ready for our last big
I
fish?
can't think of anything else.
Sure.
Sure.
Sony, who's not going to be there, but I suspect there'll be some announcements that come out this week from them in some way, shape, or form. Do you think, like,
Yeah.
obviously we won't have a press conference, but, like, do you think we get a release date for anything? Like, maybe the argument is we already have a release date for Death Stranding ahead of schedule, and
Yeah.
that's your big announcement for E3, Sony.
Last of Us Part 2.
Okay, you think we'll get a release date for that?
Do we?
No, we don't. That's what I'm asking.
I don't think we do. Yeah, I don't think we do. So that's a Sony thing. So
Hideo Kojima will walk out.
Walk out
We'll
where?
throw
He
the
can't
audience
be
in
on a
again.
stage.
He will find. He's
Fair.
Hideo Kojima. He'll find a stage and people will gather around.
yeah,
And he'll show off a trailer from his cell phone, and people will overanalyze that shit. And he said, "Yeah, no, I put together to fuck with you guys."
Okay,
No,
so I
and
have
that
to
was
use
a
a
no.
joke.
You know
I-
what he's actually going to share? He's just going to share a series of selfies that he took with all of these actors that he obviously just likes so much, and that's the only reason they're in the game.
and I wish this was my joke. I think I got this off of Reddit, but like, or he gets out there and just says, after spending so many years making a game about snakes, it was time I made a game about ladders.
Oh, that'd be so good.
So we're pretty sure there's not going to be almost anything out of Sony this year. Like, we're not expecting much because they're obviously not there in presence, but like,
Yeah. But do you think they're going to like purposely just try to steal some of E3's thunder?
if
by
I was Sony, I would have saved the Death Stranding trailer and launched it in the middle of the Xbox panel. Like, that's just me, though.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Is it petty and vindictive? Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, would that be a power move you'd have been talking about for years? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you want to fuck with Twitter? You do that. Wait, we're trending on it. Xbox is
Yeah.
trending on Twitter. What the fuck's a Death Stranding?
Yeah, I mean, if Konami was doing a conference of any sort, it would be great if it happened during that too. That would be
That would also be
Perfect.
good. Yeah.
But of course, Konami only makes
Pachinko machines.
pachinko machines, so yeah,
And shitty Metal Gear Solid games.
yeah. I mean, yeah. If you
Hey, that
call
wasn't a
it
Metal Gear Solid, that was a Metal Gear Survive. If you want to say Metal Gear
Yeah.
games, then yeah, but that wasn't a Survive. It had Solid had a totally different title in it.
Yep.
Metal Gear Survive. There you go.
That covers all the kind of the big guys or big companies, whatever the right word is for them, big soulless entities of corporation. I honestly believe we see Cyberpunk as part of E3 this year. I don't know from who, but I think we see both a meaningful amount of gameplay and another cool trailer. I will try and track down the theme song music too, like they did last year. I suspect it's Microsoft's press conference, but I don't know.
Who had it
Microsoft.
last year where they had Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Yeah. It should
Yeah.
be them again.
Witcher was good for them. I think I get the impression they're good friends with CD Projekt Red at this point. Um,
Yeah.
like we probably see a Forza game. I'm just kind of going back on stuff I thought about. Like I'm not sure what that is. Do you think we see a new racing game from EA this year?
Like a need,
Yeah.
like a Need for Speed or
Yeah,
whatever.
or like Burnout,
Is
or
that
the return of Burnout.
I'd be way more interested in a Return of Burnout.
I think we all
honestly,
would, but
yeah, that was a fun game.
I don't think so.
But yeah, I'm definitely for this year. I mean, there again, like I have my interest in some of the franchises that I'd like to see resurface, but I really want to see how much like daring type of new stuff and creative stuff we're going to see this year, or if everybody's really playing it safe. I'm curious.
Probably playing it safe. Also, a lot of people just aren't there. It's kind of odd.
Oh yeah, a lot of companies aren't there. Yeah.
Yeah.
we shall see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't know which, it's usually the big names don't do as much during the PC gaming showcase, because they'll just have their own. But yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah, like every E3, I want to be surprised. I want to see something that makes me go, damn.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
this is the year for that. Yeah, outside of Cyberpunk, like I've gotten my Destiny news that I care about. Like if EA wants to get out there and talk about Anthem, I'll go damn, but not in a good way. Like damn. I don't know. Like obviously we're kind of in that bad point between hey, consoles are coming and consoles are here, so I'm not expecting much out of E3 this year. But like seeing it, like pessimistic jokes aside, like let's talk about E3 drama this year. Like so, there's been rumors there's a new emphasis on kind of esports and shit like that as part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think we spend?
It's inevitable.
Do you think a lot of people spend time talking this year about kind of the decline of E3?
Mm. Well, yeah, that's definitely. I mean, literally just mentioned that. It's just there's kind of a void of major companies there. I mean, of course, some of the huger ones are represented. I mean, your Microsoft, your Nintendo.
But like Sony and EA aren't officially part of E3 anymore, at least not this year.
Yeah, and that's massive companies. I mean, especially Sony. But like EA also absolutely massive.
Yeah, like, let's not act like EA also isn't a giant company in its own right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's freaking gigantic. So I mean, yeah.
I know every year the conversation very much becomes is like how many more E3s are left. Like this, at least for me personally, feels like the first time that conversation's had any real merit to it. Like I've heard more rumors about like maybe PAX will buy up, or the people that run PAX will buy E3 or something like that. Like, do we think E3 as a trade show versus the video game convention will continue for the foreseeable future? And I'm talking like 10 years, not 5 years.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, E3 it comes at a great cost to put it on, and it's like and at this point, all the companies are already starting to wonder, is this worth it? Is it worth it? Obviously, EA and Sony say, no, we'll just do it on our own time.
You had the weirdness of Sony doing their own mini E3s with those, like, the Sony Days of Play, what they're doing now, I think, right now, and, like, the Sony, the PSX stuff. Like, the PSX stuff was brilliant because it was E3, but Sony ran it at that point. Like, it was completely separate, so it was competing against no one.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting proposition because it's like it is, especially what it's become now as opposed to maybe what E3 was when it first started, is a completely different beast. Now it's just a PR machine.
Yeah.
And companies, maybe they would prefer to control their environment, is what it comes down to. It's like they don't get to control the EA environment. They don't get to, and by that I mean just kind of in all senses. Like they don't get to, say when's gonna happen, when something is gonna happen, what's gonna happen. It's like what are your constraints? It's like when you do it on your own, you get to be your own boss.
Yeah.
And I think the larger companies. I think the big losers in the E3, if E3 goes away, will be the smaller companies that are trying to get at least a little bit of visibility through things like the PC gaming showcase or the VR showcase or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyone got anything
Yeah,
more?
I mean,
Anyone got anything more meaningful to say on this topic? We kind of ready to close it out and do emails. Since we're starting to tread water some.
yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, I've kind of said my piece, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we're pretty solid. Other than, like, I look forward to seeing all the dumb shit that comes out of there and what kind of cringe. I wonder who's going to take the cringe.
It's EA every year.
I don't know. Sony did really good a couple years ago.
But Sony ain't there.
But we'll see.
And it wasn't so much cringe as it was, what the fuck are you doing? We have some emails. We're done.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And we saved one.
We did save one. Just for you, Alex.
Yay!
I know we have to do the bit still. You know how this works.
I'm excited about the email.
It's not addressed to you. We just thought you'd like to talk about it. If you wanted to contact us if you wanted to contact the Wicked Awesome Cast, Alex, how would you go about doing it?
Simple. You would pull up the email client of your choosing, and you would type in wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
What's that email again, Henry?
That is wickedawesomecast@gmail.com.
Wickedawesomecast@gmail.com. Spell that down the show notes, etc. First off, and this one's the one we saved, so thank you for writing in, Anonymous. Dear Wicked Awesome Cast, in your extra Game of Thrones podcast, you talked about the idea of would you rather no ending or this ending, which really struck a chord with me. I like Alex was very caught up in just going with the memes, and Okay, that's what it actually said. I like that Alex was caught up in just going with the memes when it came to Game of Thrones finale. And I, like Alex, was very caught up in, there's a comma missing, sorry, in just going with the memes when it came to the Game of Thrones finale. And when faced with the question, felt a little surprised by how the idea of just not getting a final season horrified me. Like you three talked about, this is not an endorsement of quality for the ending of Game of Thrones. But in hindsight, I'm glad we have an ending to complain about. So, to you a question: are there any shows, games, or books that you think benefit from not having official endings? Also, do you have a favorite franchise that got robbed of an ending?
Ooh.
Okay, so I have a bit of both, definitely.
Oh,
yeah. I'll have to think a bit about a franchise I'm glad it didn't end, but I can think of ones that, like, I mean, obvious one that people probably still think about when they think about things like that is Firefly.
I think Firefly benefits from not having an ending.
Yeah, I think the movie is a better end cap than the season could have, than the last season could have been.
I will go so far as to say cancellation is the best thing. Maybe not best, but like we would not care about Firefly if it didn't get canceled. It would just be one season of a forgettable TV show forgot to run its course.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I think all of the mystique around that show is, it got canceled. Josh Whedon didn't have a chance to do it. I think it's if that show got to run its course for a season, we wouldn't care. It's because it.
But it is really good. I mean, you watch the episodes; they're actually really good. To be perfectly honest, I mean, they are pretty darn high quality.
Agree to disagree on this one. I think some episodes are good. The majority of them are. I get why it got canceled.
I think it was kind of too niche in a certain sense. I mean, I think it presented probably the most realistic version of what later space life would be like.
Yeah,
in that
no, I agree.
People wouldn't change drastically, and I think it's interesting for that alone. But yeah, I think honestly I kind of agree. I'm saying that as a fan, possibly the cancellation and then getting a pretty darn good movie out of it. Honestly, I mean, I don't know if you watched the movie or not, but
I think the movie
Serenity
is the best part of that franchise. My issue with that
it's
show...
an entertaining...
Yeah.
It's an entertaining movie.
Yeah.
But
I'd argue more than that show ever was at any point, but that's the whole... Like, the episodes of that show that I like are the ones the fans don't like, but also, ironically, are the ones that are important to the overall, like, story of that show. It's weird. I think that show... Like, again, I go back to... If that show had a chance to run its course for a full season, we would not talk about it the way we do. Dollhouse had a chance to go its full... Like, to at least run a full season enough to kind of get established, and no one cares about fucking Dollhouse.
Yeah. And it was way... But the thing is, it was way more hit and miss than Firefly. Because I like pretty much every episode of Firefly. And I can't say that about Dollhouse, but there's some episodes of Dollhouse that I thought were really good. But yeah, funny we're talking mainly about just one person's series, but yeah, I'm trying to think of other occasions of, when something was canceled or...
I think I think Fable, in a weird way, actually benefits from that most recent Fable game getting the axe.
Well, the Swamp Thing has already been canceled before it's even premiered.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I'm still seeing ads for it, and it's already been canceled. Something happened with the budgeting, apparently, and just through it, I don't know what could have possibly happened to cause a show to collapse literally before it even reaches a screen. That's bizarre, but that's a thing. I think, all right, so I have it. Stranger Things. As far as I know, they I don't think they're doing another season.
Yeah, they are. Season 3 is coming.
There's another season coming out.
I thought they weren't.
Next month.
I thought they weren't.
Nope, season 3 is coming.
Okay.
For better or worse.
Well, that's the thing I was about to bring up. I think that would probably benefit. I don't think we need more stories from that. I kind of like... I mean, they obviously left a huge thread open for more stories in that world, but I would be also perfectly happy with it just having just what it has, just the 2 seasons, and that's it.
I will always miss, maybe this was never the point of the show, but there was a point in time where I think everyone thought Stranger Things was going to be a new weirdness each season, and it wasn't. If it kind of continued that vein of the season 1 was the Gormagon, if season 2 had been something with totally new characters or most of the characters different and a totally new concept, I'd have been more on board. But also I'm in the not a huge fan of Stranger Things camp.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting if they did something like basically what they've done with True Detective, in that every season is completely disconnected. That's what I wanted. And I haven't watched all the seasons of True Detective, but it's... Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I think that would have worked. But yeah, I would be... But that's a show that I would be fine to a certain extent if it got canceled.
Yeah.
I think it would actually stand on its own better, because there's a lot... I mean, now that it's the 3rd season, big expectations... it's hard to live up to that, especially when it's been several years since the last season.
Yep.
And so, a whole new set of things, including, well, your child actors are growing up.
Well, so there's a time jump, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, well, there has to be, because everybody's literally that much older, and because they were child actors, it's obvious when they grow up. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other shows. Alex, okay, go ahead, please.
That was ripped off of a fucking ending. Last Man on Earth. If you haven't watched Last Man on Earth, it's a great show, and it's a shame that they didn't get a final season. So, have you seen the? Have you guys heard of the show? I
don't like the show.
No,
you don't like the show? I like the show. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but yeah, they didn't get a final. They didn't get a final season, so I'm a little sad about that one. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
Well, for me, it's like I was pretty darn happy when the third season of Twin Peaks came out, because that was a story that needed. I mean, that when it was basically kind of boxed up and canceled, and then they did a feature prequel movie. I mean, a lot of us fans of it were just left hanging because it's such an interesting world that he's built and characters, and people wanted to return to that. And honestly, the season that we thought would never happen happened somehow, and that's kind of amazing. And the fact that it's actually also really good. I mean, I don't know if any of you were even remotely interested in Twin Peaks.
I never made it through the first season.
But the third season is outstanding. It really is. I mean, they brought back as many of the actors that were still alive, because some of the actors that were in the original were older and have passed away since. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a show that I would have been very sad if I never got another season of it. And I'm glad that that the season I got was good instead of, and that's a real thing. It's like this thing you want so badly, but sometimes when you get it, it's like, oh God, I wish they wouldn't have brought that back. It's terrible. But in this case, no, yeah, this is it's a little bit different, but it's one that I thought was never going to see another anything, and then all of a sudden, like decades later, we see it. But yeah. So yeah, I guess those are kind of the ones that come to my mind when I think of shows that were canceled that I had really bought into big time. But honestly, I agree with your assessment on Firefly.
I'm trying to think of any games that got a sequel got canceled or something, and that was good for the franchise overall. I don't know.
That was good.
There's got to be a game where it because of the mystique around it, it does better for itself than not.
City Heroes and Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah, no, that's probably true.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely see that.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The only thing I can think of that would be like that.
No, but you raise a fair point. Like, part of the mystique of those games at this point is that they got shit canned and are no longer with us, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Ready for another email?
I'll say this. I'll just throw this one out there. Banjo and Kazooie could have benefited from some cancellation or for them not trying to make a spiritual successor to it.
Oh, just letting it lie.
Ratchet and Clank should have been over before the last one that they came out with. Yeah, that would have benefited, but anyways, thank you for the email, Anonymous.
Next email? This one comes in from Justin. Dear WAC, I kind of like that. I know this is common it is common this time of year to talk about what is the point of E3, since it is the season. But seriously, this year more than ever, it seems like E3 is just more and more a thing that's happening this year, as opposed to a big deal of years past. Is this a sign of things to come? If I remember correctly, the typical feeling on the podcast is that ever since the show went public, it's been in decline. This year is more than ever. It seems like E3's days are numbered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
so.
this year has a real potential to be a fantastic shit show from a paid attendance standpoint.
Enough complaints to where people are like, "Yeah, we don't think this is worth our money."
I don't think this year it gets canceled. I think if Sony doesn't go back next year, you find yourself in a weirder conversation, and Microsoft's already testing the waters with their Xbox Direct things, whatever they're called. 100,000.
Everybody is kind of doing that.
100,000 people.
Nintendo's done their own.
Yeah, Nintendo's been it for years. But the weirdest case in point is 100,000 people showed up on Twitch to watch the live stream of the Death Stranding trailer. I'm sure E3 does better numbers, but for a short thing, that's pretty fucking impressive. I don't know what the Destiny stream numbers were like, but you don't need E3 anymore. The idea of it's the trade show, major media doesn't cover E3 the way it used to.
No.
like none of us are going this year. We have another email about that from our producer. Actually, going to read after this, but I like in so many ways, one of the more effective ways to actually watch E3 is from home and then go to like the following days of the show kind of thing. Like it's watching press conferences is so much easier, and they cover almost all the stuff now. Like the last couple of E3s I went to were kind of weird. Like you weren't learning anything on the floor. You weren't learning elsewhere. Like I got to play what's it called? The robot hunting game. I'm blanking on the name. Horizon Zero Dawn. Like that was one of the better E3 moments I had, and that was a closed event. Kind of you had to like sign up pretty aggressively to get into. Like seeing God of War in a more intimate situation was cool, but like I didn't see anything more than just the trailer they showed off as part of the press conference. Like it was neat, but yeah, I think more and more you're not missing anything not being at E3. Yeah. Like hell, I think some of the other gaming podcasts I feel like Giant Bomb has had a bunch of conversations about like how many more years do we send the entire crew down there, and like they only send part of the crew to PAX. Like when do you start treating E3 like it's just PAX?
Yeah.
Yeah, the public attending thing has been a growing problem. I have seen nothing that indicates this year will be better than previous years. I think Alex has been my kind of weird barometer on that topic. The first year they were allowed in, he wouldn't have such a big issue with it. And the second year, he was like, yeah, maybe fuck this shit a little bit. Yeah.
Just a tad. It's mainly because the whole weird-ass dystopian-esque environment of people behaving like fucking savages when stuff is, like, given up for grabs. Just line up and grab your shit. Don't rush the fucking booth and grab shit like monsters is my...
It's also kind of the awkwardness of E3 was never meant as it stood for the public. It's a trade conference. Like, it is a...
Yeah.
It's kind of a boring thing on paper. Like, it's comparable to... It's kind of like a weird comparison, but like IAPA is the big theme park convention that happens every year, and on one hand, it's real cool. There's an aisle of just all the vendors that sell food at theme parks trying to get you to buy their food. But, like, there's also then 10 other aisles of people that sell the urethane wheels for ride systems trying to convince you why their wheels are better. And while the general public might think that food aisle is cool, I guarantee they do not care about, like, inflatable alley of just bounce houses you can't get into or urethane wheels or, like, people talking about, like, their fucking lighting rigs. But that's what the most of those things are. And I get, like, E3 is cool because it's video games, but also it's like, yeah, over here's Farming Simulator. Ooh. No, you can't play it. We just have a giant cow. Okay. Yeah. You're not discovering more at E3 than you are just keeping track of gaming, I think, at this point.
Yep, not anymore. Especially, I mean, really, it's social media, we've kind of alluded to, that's made it way more obsolete.
And I think
in that people can get the word out more effectively, and I would argue more effectively now, just doing going through their own channels and whatever they want to do. Going on Twitch, like they had, Bungie did for Destiny, and doing it during their own stream.
Yeah,
and
you are facing a year where 3 of the biggest things of E3, which are Death Stranding, the Destiny stuff, and Stadia, all happened between a week to 2 weeks before the show even opened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to jump on the band train of like E3's days are numbered just yet, but there's definitely a trend.
But, all right, so from the kind of the dev side of it, which I wouldn't mind seeing the E3 go away, because it ends up putting undue pressure on your developers. Sure. Because and it makes artificial time frames, in that we want to wait on this and to announce it at E3, and so you have this weird artificial time frame that's built around when E3 happens for your development, and as well as just it's like, you put the extra pressure on them when you've announced a game and like, this is the game, this is when it's coming out, this is what it's gonna have. It's like, and you make a gigantic deal of it. And it's like, now you've just put increasing pressure on your beleaguered devs.
I didn't think about it like that before. Makes a lot of sense, though.
But yeah, like just imposing an artificial time frame and just even more. And this now it's announced to the world and to other, and even fostering this sort of greater competition and oh, we got to beat these other people. And that's another thing I think E3 creates is this sort of competition that who's going to have the better things to announce. And so that's even more pressure on your devs to produce something E3 worthy.
Yeah, I've always wondered actually how much E3 indirectly contributed to crunch, where it's like if you just announce the game a couple months before it's actually ready to come out, like what happens at that point?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like announcing when something's going to come out really far in advance, unless you've got a really, really good process and a really tight team, and you're just demanding crunch out of your developers. So yeah, honestly, I'd rather not see releases until it's like this is. I mean, for example, like not talking about until it's in its sort of last stages instead of in the middle of development, and then in the middle of development you're putting out a hard date. Like, I think the only reason Death Stranding is getting a hard date, and this is just me kind of hoping that it's gotten a hard date because they've already finished with the majority of the game.
Yeah,
they've already finished major development. Right now they're in bug testing phase and in the QA phase, and that's where they're going to be in until it's released.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping that they waited for. That, yeah, all the major work, it's like if you're talking about filming, it's like principal filming is done, and now we're just in the editing. I say just, but we're in the editing stage and the testing stage. And, yeah. But yeah, I don't like. I hate it whenever they put out a hard date. I don't mind when they say spring 2020, but when they say like November, it kind of it. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. Yeah, so, yeah, and that just gives an impetus for them to force crunch on all the developers. So, That's my thoughts on E3. I don't mind seeing it go away at all, but yeah, I agree. I think it's in its death throes. It's not this year. Not this year, it's not going to be the last one, but it's nearing the end of its usefulness. Like Blockbuster.
Put it back on the shelf. Retire it to concepts long dead.
I
think so.
Or it'll just return to a completely industry only, completely closed off to the media, where it's just a regular old industry meeting again. So,
yeah, I get you. Yeah,
it is interesting to think about that, though. I mean, E3.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even remember how long it's been going, but I can't remember when it wasn't. So,
Yeah. Here we are on the AE3 category. I mean, the after E3, Electronic Expo, Entertainment, blah, blah, blah. It's a different time. Yeah.
But thank you so much for that email,
Justin. Yeah.
Justin.
And this is more of a mocking email that comes in from one of our producers.
All right.
Jennifer writes in, "Why are you guys sending the person who knows nothing about video games represent some good studios at E3? Who makes these poor life choices?" For those confused, due to us not being big enough to get E3 passes and a variety of other stuff, Jen, our graphics design department / one of the producers, will be in attendance at E3, and the three of us on this podcast will not. Unless, are you going, Henry, by any chance?
No.
Yeah. So go find her and put pressure on her. I don't know. Oh no, she
Jen?
got. So being in the theme park industry means you get access to E3 because you're part of entertainment, and there's a bizarre overlap between entertainment companies and video game companies. So you can get into E3 via video game companies. I just fucked up on that for mine and was focused on trying to get us in as SWS, and that did not pan out ultimately, but yeah.
That's hilarious. I look forward to hearing. Is she gonna record like a
I don't know if I'm gonna send her with
Off-cast
recording
kind of thing
equipment yet. It would be funny to get the Girlfriend Games stars perspective on E3 this year. We may do a segment.
Just send her with like a little tape recorder and have her like update her tape recorder throughout the day and just piece it together. It'll be fucking
our producer has a note for me right now. She's giving me the finger as best I can tell. There's some smiling, but I am definitely getting the finger right now.
Yeah.
But yeah. If no one's got anything else to say, let's close it out for this week on that high note.
Yeah, I'm good.
Me too. Alex,
What?
you're the metal.